I now call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Ravenswood City School District Regular Board Meeting of June 18th, 2026. The time is 6:08 p.m. It's a lovely day. We got a lot of folks in the building. I see you. Thank you for coming and sharing yourselves with us. We're going to get started with item 1B, the roll call. Trustee Tavera is not here, but he's on his way. Trustee Nunez, here. Trustee Varghese Bloom, here. Trustee Latu, present. And I myself, Trustee Shibomahim, am present. All right, on to item 1C, approval of the agenda. Trustees, any questions, comments, changes that need to be noted? The superintendent. All right, if there are no changes, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Through the chair, I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Agenda is approved as is. All right, on to item 2, public comment. We're at 2A, comments from the floor. Just a reminder from folks, which I'm sure you know the drill, if there's something you would like to share that is not agendized here for tonight, please just move to your right there. There should be some yellow sheets of paper where you can fill out your information and what you want to talk about. And now's the time to talk about it. We'll also have this opportunity going into closed session, which is further down the agenda. Otherwise, feel free to, actually, no, you can talk about anything on the agenda, agendized or otherwise, but right now is the time to talk about things not agendized. So with all of that rambling, Trustee Varghese Bloom, do we have any speakers?
No speakers for item 2.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll keep it moving. On to item 3, a special recognition.
Yes, this is a celebratory moment, also bittersweet. But there are a couple people I would like to recognize this evening. I would like to first start with our Belhaven principal, Michelle Masuda. So I have a few words for Michelle. And we had an opportunity to connect earlier today and exchange a few appreciations and admirations for each other. And when I think about Michelle Masuda Lee, one phrase comes to mind, and this is something that she has in her office. Things are always figure-outable. And in March of 2019, when I stepped into the superintendent role, Michelle answered a call to leadership as well at a pivotal moment for our district. What she brought was a steady, even-keeled approach, no emotions too high or too low, and helped guide Belhaven through some of the most significant changes in its history. She led through school merger, brought communities together, navigated COVID and distance learning, and kept the focus on students while the campus itself underwent a physical transformation. What I admire most about Michelle is that she never stood still as a leader. As Ravenswood raised expectations and transformed its instructional program to become more rigorous, coherent, and accountable, Michelle challenged herself to grow right alongside her team. She held herself to the same high standards she expected of others and embraced the difficult work of evolving into the instructional leader our students and families need. That growth was not always easy, but Michelle never backed away from it, even though there's times where she's like, I don't know. Instead, she modeled what continuous improvement looks like in practice. Today, she leads Belhaven not only stronger than she found it, but primed to propel the work forward. Her leadership has built the foundation, strengthened the systems, and prepared the team for the next chapter. Michelle, thank you for your leadership, your steady leadership, your commitment to growth, and your belief that no challenge is too great when we are willing to lean in, adapt, and figure it out together. You now have the blueprint to do it all over again at Millbrae. Literally going to go through construction in a year, under construction in a year. But they are so lucky to have you. and we're going to miss you.
Thank you so much for those lovely words, Superintendent. I will now open it up to the board as well as speakers. Trustee Vargas Boom, I see you got some sheets there, so however y'all want to move.
Yes, so it's all under item 3, and so it's not between people. And so we could either do speakers,
Or we can
And-
ask who.
so we could do speakers who want to share about Michelle to come up, and I will check your name off the list or say your name as you. And then if you did want to speak for more than one, I think that we just need to decide, like, let them come back up again to speak for more than one.
Sure.
Okay.
But right now it's just focused
Yes.
on Michelle.
Yes.
Yes.
So if there is anybody who wrote a speaker card that wants to speak for Michelle, please speak now. Hi. Yes, yes. Thank you, Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Bauscher. I am the board chair of the Ravenswood Education Foundation, but I was also the Ravenswood Education Foundation schooling to Belhaven for many years, and also a tutor for Jose Ibarra's kindergarten class for 8 years. And I had the pleasure of working with Michelle very closely. Michelle is the most collaborative leader I think I've ever worked with. She always thought about the youngest, newest teacher, the oldest, most experienced teacher, all the different grade levels, and really wanted everyone to make decisions together so that everyone felt good about the decisions. I knew that right the year before Michelle showed up, there had been a lot of different principals and a lot of different issues, and so she wasn't exactly walking into a picnic. And then she had to merge 2 schools. Willow Oaks was merging, and the Belhaven teachers had some concerns, and she did a really good job of making sure everybody felt seen and heard, and she had everyone come up with a joint mission statement and had the kids collaborate on what they wanted their new colors to be and what they wanted their new animal to be. And she made it incredibly collaborative, where some people could have come in and just rammed some stuff through. She really, really is the most collaborative leader I've ever worked with, and it was such a pleasure to work with her. I also saw her lead through the pandemic. She was unflappable in a very, very stressful situation. Also, I was over at the school for the first day of the big move, and I think Jenna Wachtel Prenibus and I were in tears at one point, and Michelle was just calm as a cucumber. Never got flapped. Totally unflappable. And then she's had to bring in a lot of new teachers. She's managed change really well, and I'm really gonna miss her. But I'd like the opportunity to speak about Will later too. So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you, Michelle, for all you did.
Yes. And I will also, well, as Karen is coming up to speak for Michelle right now, we will also have Melissa Brown next.
I didn't know we were supposed to be called. Sorry.
It's okay. We didn't need it.
It's not clear. So go ahead. I'm Karen Pace, and I am the Executive Director of Ravenswood Early Learning, and also on the board of All Five, the early childhood organization that is on Belhaven Elementary School property. And so I want to speak about, again, collaboration, about Michelle's support and collaborative spirit with an early childhood organization. That when you think about a principal and all they have to hold, and many of the things Carolyn talked about on their own campus, then to have another organization literally on the same property with still the community's children, and many of the teachers have children at your school. And she was just absolutely a terrific partner. And for so many districts, the early childhood organizations near or adjacent to elementary schools are an afterthought. It is just one more thing, too many things. I've got to focus on my own school. And Michelle never took that perspective. She was really saw the long road, and that these kids are going to be our kids in just a few short years. So anyway, I'm so grateful, Michelle, and your support of teachers and families, and talking through any concerns they had, and the scariness of being a new parent, and like, what's going to happen when my kid goes to TK or kindergarten. You were just really the most beautiful soul. So thank you so much.
Yes. Ms. Brown, and then after Ms. Brown, it will be Michael Shaw.
Okay, Masuda, this will not be as eloquent as everyone else's. I'm just up here to say thank you. Like 13 years ago, you took a chance in sitting on my interview panel and just watching all the changes and seeing how everything has grown and changed since we started. I just, watching you go up and down and all through it, it just, thank you for being who you are and just what you've like done for Ravenswood.
Michelle has I've been in education 28 years, and Michelle has the distinction of designing the single coolest piece of school swag
Yes.
that I've ever envied. That would be the willow belt, the custom belt buckle. There were only 2 ever made, so I didn't get one. I think I have some of the from Willow School is the most swag that I have still piled up at home that I still wear. So I really appreciate that. Personally, having an educator like Michelle who makes a big difference to me personally. She helped me a lot with advice and things when I was having my first kid, or my only kid at this point. But thank you, Michelle. I appreciate you. She made me feel comfortable at things that I was nervous about and taught me quite a bit personally. Thank you very much.
Are there any other speakers who, yes, Solomon Hill.
That's me. There's a certain kind of teacher that you immediately recognize that they are probably going to become administrators one day. And Michelle, when you were at Brentwood, you would push us. Yes, I'm going to get your iPads ready, Michelle. They're going to be ready. And I knew because of your natural leadership and your drive for the kids, and the teachers I'm talking about kind of push against the system, let you know they're going to do something more extraordinary, and you need to give them a little bit more of your time. And you were one of those teachers at Brentwood. When you became an administrator, it was not a surprise to me at all. When you became a principal, it was not a surprise to me at all. You led one of our precious jewel schools through one of the hardest things it can go through, right? And through the pandemic, right? Closures. It was tough. Our time here was tough. So I just want to acknowledge that and thank you. We did a lot of good work together, and you're going to do great work there. They are lucky.
Thank you so much for those beautiful words. Michelle, I hope you have known, not just today, but while you've been here with us, how loved you are, how beloved you are, how much you're going to be missed when you leave. And, I'm just going to quickly echo the message I gave to the 8th grade students at CCRMS the other day, and that is, this is Ravenswood. This is your forever home. I hope you're carrying us with you as you go on to your next steps as you are with us. So whatever it is, find your way back. If it's even just for a hug or to say hi or to do a partnership, like whatever, please do. And you will be missed. And thank you so much for your service. Thank you.
Oops. Michelle, thank you. I don't think we can say thank you enough for the hard work that you've done not only for Belhaven, but also for our community. There are generations of young people that have been greatly moved by the work that you've done. And so on behalf of, as one of the members of the board, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. The baseball Belhaven swag is still the best undefeated, in my opinion. That is like one of the greatest article of clothing, district wise. And so I just want to say thank you. It hasn't been easy, especially when you all were, when the campus was under construction and just kind of the stresses of having to constantly be on the move and trying to make things work and with all the transitions that we're going. So I just want to say thank you again. I know that you will continue to do great work wherever you go, and I hope that they appreciate you as much as we have here. This is always going to be your home. I feel like you're going to take a piece of Ravenswood with you wherever you go, but you're also leaving a wonderful memory with us. And so just thank you. I wish you the best of luck. It's only going to get better as the years go by. So good luck. And if you need a recommendation, you already know who to ask. Thank you.
Michelle, congratulations. And I just want to say, when I think about Belhaven, when I first started here on the board, that's, I think, the half year or first year that everything was kind of in height. Well, it was crazy because everybody was on the transitions of connecting the schools, then everybody being in COVID. And one of the things when I think about Belhaven is it is a community school, right? And I think that you entered into a moment where you had to build that community back and you had to redefine what it was. And then as you were in the process of that, we just threw in every single transition we could think of, so that you could continue that work of building a community school. And anytime I'm on Belhaven's campus, I always know and see how the kids respond to that, of you building that community school and your steady leadership and your willingness to be the calm in our storm. And so we really appreciate that you have done that for us. And we also know that you are moving, closer to your kids. And as someone who gets to serve in a district with their children, it is, such an honor and a privilege. And so I just want to encourage you and say great work here and congratulations in your next step. And I hope you are inspired, and I hope that you continue to bring that calm in the storm there, and also invest in ways that are going to make just really big changes and also build that community in the community that you're already part of. And so thank you for your years of service here, and just excited for you. So good job and congratulations.
I don't know how I'm talking last. I thought it went that way. So you left the least eloquent at the end. But Michelle, I am very thankful for your leadership. I know we didn't get to work together all that much, but I will say that the way people speak about you behind closed doors and in the places that they can stay and be honest, they speak accolades of you. And so I had the honor to do my admin credential with two of your best teachers. And anytime they talked about you, it was great. And I think that that's the leader that you are. You inspired them to become admin. You inspired them to take the next steps. And those are our new leaders. And so thank you, because all of your work doesn't end with you. It's been inspiring everybody else. And then as a high school teacher, I can never say I have favorite students, but I will say that some of my favorite students did come from Belhaven. And so that starts with your leadership. So thank you so much and best of luck.
Thank you very much, trustees, and we'll go the other way this next time, sorry. All right, and so we're still on item 3, special recognition. I think there's one other person in here we're supposed to recognize, not sure. Is that you? Okay, cool. Just kidding. So I'll give it back to Gina.
I don't want to put her on the spot, but Michelle, do you want to say a few little tiny words? I know Michelle, and I'm not laughing.
So everyone here knows I give awkward speeches when I'm not prepared. But thank you so much for giving me the privilege and honor to be a part of Belhaven. No, I'm gonna get super awkward and cry. I was counting the years. sorry, and realize I've been here almost half my life, which is a long time because I'm getting gray hairs. So like we're getting old, people. And I'm so excited to see all the students move on. I'm so excited to see our students come back to work with us. And it just means a lot. I'm going to channel my inner Will because I know he's got something funny to say later on. Just a thank you, a huge thank you to Ravenswood as a whole. And I will definitely be back to visit, for sure. So, okay, that's all I have. Sorry.
Thank you, Michelle. So yes, we are now going to recognize Dr. William Eager. So Michelle Obama recently, maybe it was a couple days ago, spoke about President Obama, and she described him as someone who was always dreaming big and then somehow pulling it off. And as I reflected on Will's time in Ravenswood, I realized that's exactly who Will has been for us. Over the last several years, that vision translated into real results. Will played a key role in helping Ravenswood transform nearly every campus in the district. He helped lead the modernization of our middle school, Los Robles, Belhaven, and now we're working on Castaño, our home office. He helped forge partnerships that brought us the Magical Bridge Playground, EPAT's permanent home, expanded our athletic facilities and outdoor learning spaces. He helped advance the affordable housing projects that will provide homes for educators and staff, the greater part of East Palo Alto, while generating revenue that directly supports students. He's also helped ensure that our facilities work was grounded in sustainability, leading to Ravenswood receiving California's top sustainability award, the Green Achiever Award. And he helped position Ravenswood as a district that offers that others across California look to as an example of innovation, partnership, and possibility. But what people may not realize is that some of the leadership moves and the most important work happen behind the scenes. It's taking the difficult calls. It's sitting in those challenging meetings. It's carrying the weight of complicated issues when there is just no easy answer. And that's internally here in our district, and that's externally. Especially in the political scene now, I cannot express enough appreciation for your advocacy for Ravenswood and your fight for our students. He took the heat when necessary. He absorbed challenges so others could stay focused on moving the work forward. And he had an incredible ability to hold onto a problem until it was solved. What made that possible was his sense of humor. No matter how complex the challenge, Will always found a way to keep things in perspective and remind us that, guys, it's gonna be fine. Guys, don't worry, it's gonna be fine. And if there were ever a theme song for Will, we heard it over and over again earlier today. It would be all I do is win. And it's not because everything came easy, but it's because, Will, you never stop believing that progress was possible. And so thank you for your leadership, your partnership, your friendship, and your unwavering belief in what Ravenswood could become. And thank you for helping us dream bigger and for helping us pull it off.
Beautiful words. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we have speakers, trustee?
Yes, we do have speakers. I can just start and call you guys up. So Carolyn.
Carolyn from Ref again. I was so excited to meet Will because I heard about him from one of our big donors, and she had known him in Boston and said, "You're gonna love him. He's amazing. We're so lucky to get him." And she was right. I feel like when Will started I mean, we barely remember this now, but the district before Gina's leadership and all of your wonderful leadership, I love all of you trustees. Thank you very much. There were some, allegations of graft and some, terrible things being said about our finances and whether the district was a place you'd want to put your money. And Will came in and he's opened this Sunshine website of like showing where all the money was spent, so nobody could say that anymore. And really improved our ratings, our financial ratings, and also found money that first year. He found a couple $1 million that the previous person hadn't gotten and got us a few extra million right off the bat. Like that was incredible. And then I had the privilege of driving him around to multiple different local schools because he said, I've never run facilities before and I want to see some examples. So can you show me an outdoor garden? Can you show me a great gym? Can you show me a great playground? And it was so much fun because Will's always smiling and always has such a great sense of humor. And but I feel like, if Michelle is one of the most collaborative leaders that I've ever worked with, I feel like Will is such an innovator and he's never satisfied with the way things are. He's always wondering, can it get better? Can it be better? And he's willing to tackle those thorny problems with innovation. And I feel like the district has just really benefited from that leadership. And it's been also just a joy and fun to work with them. And we're really going to miss you, and we hope that you remember us and come back and stay in touch. But thank you for your leadership, and thank you for building a strong team so that when you're gone, we're still going to be in really good shape. Thank you.
Karen Pace.
Karen Pace and Ravenswood Early Learning and all 5. And should have gone first before I listened to you guys. Just really hard to say thank you enough. Will is kind of the opposite of this. Like he is, we're both enthusiastic. We're both a little mouthy. But I cry easily and he doesn't. Like, it's amazing that all we have been through as a district and to your point, some of the challenges we've been through that really shake us as humans, and especially when we care so deeply. I find it incredible that Will cares so deeply and also can keep his countenance and his sense of humor and keep driving forward. So I'm really appreciative for so many things, your holistic care of the district and your financial prowess and your true early childhood champion, which, as we see, is self-evident. And I am thrilled that you've got little kids in early childhood here in the district. So you're still part of Ravenswood, no matter what New York thinks. So, and of course, they're very lucky to have you, and Godspeed. So.
Solomon Hill. And then Rhonda is after that.
All right, let's play a little game. Guess who said these words? Who put these words in? Ravenswood has directly improved and or leased 94% of the land that the district owns across East Palo Alto. About 3 million square feet, or roughly 3% of all land within East Palo Alto and East Menlo Park. The leases alone generate approximately $5.5 million per year, more than $3,000 per student, which meaningfully closes the gap between Ravenswood and the county average in per pupil funding. There are 2 more pages of accomplishments over the last 6 years. I'm not going to tell you who wrote these words because I think everyone knows. No, it's an amazing accomplishment, Will. You know, when you first came, you came during the pandemic, our tough time, and you came to a team that was pretty harsh with you. You know, we were a little insular at the time, I would say. And you and I got along really well because we both had these weird senses of humor. That's kind of kept us going for this time.
Solomon, which team are you referring to? Just kidding.
The exec team. And you know, it was a tough time for you, but you handled that part with dignity. And you kept rising and rising. And then one day, Gina walked in my office and said, "How do you feel about him being your boss?" I was like, "What? He's like 18 years old." My boss? Are you kidding me? And you know, I'm not easy to manage, and I was a little tough on you at first, but Will, it was a great experience, and I learned a lot from you. I was shocked as I was learning, I have to admit. You're wiser than your 17 years showed, but what I learned, and I think what the district learned, one is don't let compliance and doing things that we think we're supposed to do rule us, right? So you helped us step outside those boundaries, and just that mindset allowed you to get things done far quicker than any CBO in our history. So you were great, and learned a lot from you. And I'm still learning a lot from you every day as you pass on all your work to me as you exit. But thank you. You remember I challenged you when you first came. I'm not going to say the exact words I said, but I told you not to sell all the land. We'll come in here and sell all the land. And instead, you made our greatest asset our lifeline, and what we're using to improve the lives of our students. And that's the greatest gift you could have given us. So thank you.
And after Rhonda, it will be.
I got you,
Melissa.
Solomon.
Just
Hi.
Oh, I was just saying after Rhonda, it will be Melissa. I'm just going to prep everyone.
Hi, my name is Rhonda White. I'm currently a principal at Castano School of the Arts. We are prepping to move to Castano at Brentwood for the next 3 years during the move. We coined it. So I'm here to talk about my relationship with Will about this much. I've been in the district for over 30 years, born and raised here. I think I'm gonna echo what Solomon said, very young to be handling the money. And I probably gave him the hardest time as the president. I will own that to the end. It was a great relationship, not love, hate, just who, maybe. But one of the things I can say I respect about Will is he came in here and his eyes was focused on the money. And that is hard to do in a district, not 6-7, but in a district that has had ups and downs with money, pandemic, other things going on. But I coined something that we still laugh about to this day. I kept going, Will, where's all this money going? So I finally called him Bank of the Ravenswood. And that was what I would call him. What's up, Bank? Ravenswood, how you doing? And so we talked about it. So during a time when a lot of districts were not using their money so fiscally wise, Will was, I won't say stockpiling. He was making sure that during the leaner years, we could survive since we'd already did the furlough days, the cuts, the this, the this, the this. But now we actually thrived during a time when people were not thriving. We have things for our kids that other people wish they have. We have partners and organizations. So I just really want to say I appreciate you and I thank you. Let me know how you do in your new district. I'd love to talk about it more. Sorry to see you go, but glad to know, sometimes people decide to leave Ravenswood and that's okay. So I really appreciate you and I appreciate what you did with the money here and leaving us in a great situation. So thank you. I got another hug for you.
So Melissa, and then it will be Chris Bradley. Sorry, it's so hard for me to say Melissa Brown. Miss Brown, Missy, yeah.
any of those work. Hi, well, this is on behalf of RTA first. You came in during a very uncertain time. You came in right in the beginning or right in the middle of COVID, and before you and before Gino, things were not really good in negotiations. They were ugly. I even heard we broke a table at some point. However, you came in and things were really uncertain, and we kind of formed during COVID. We formed a relationship between the district and RTA, where it was like goodwill, and we were looking at what's best for our students. And I think Rhonda said a lot of it. Other people before me have said so much already that I'm not going to repeat that. But the fact that you've been able to maintain that goodwill throughout your time, to improve that, to make sure we're doing okay, and that the teachers are getting paid fairly, and that people like our kids are taken care of, and we're not suffering in budget cuts and things like that. I appreciate it. We appreciate working with you. On behalf of the art teachers, I'm going to say thank you for putting up with our craziness and our demands of between the kiln and that's missing clay, missing orders, and then even designing our new playgrounds. But thank you for always listening to us, and I'm glad things are looking like good for you. So thank you.
After Chris, it will be Michael.
Well, this is kind of a bittersweet moment. It's wonderful to see you moving on to the superintendency over in Newark, but it's obviously very sad to not get to work with you here at Ravenswood. It's been an amazing 6 years. As Solomon and a couple other folks mentioned, first time I met you was over Zoom. We spent the first 6 months, I think, working on Zoom, and I hadn't actually met you in person. And you look even younger by Zoom and 6 years ago. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, who is this kid that they hired? But that was immediately dispelled literally in the first few meetings as Will stepped in, really was taking over a lot of things beyond just facilities and made his mark immediately. One of the small things, but one of the things that I appreciated the most was turning our 4 or 5 hour subcommittee meetings into 1 hour. And that's continued on the entire time. So that, making your mark early, but that trend continued throughout the entire 6 years. I don't know how many times you called me and said, I've got this idea and I think I can get it funded. And then a couple of months later, you did. And one time is impressive, 2 times is remarkable, but just over and over and over again. I'll say, I've been doing this for just shy of 30 years now. I don't know of anyone else that's been able to pull that off as frequently and to the degree that you have. And as Gina mentioned, one of the hallmarks of seeing you work is seeing you come up with these big ideas, but not just having the ideas, finding a way to make them happen. And you've done that over and over again. And if you look back at just the facilities things that you've accomplished with your team over the last 6 years, it's really pretty impressive. I don't think you could point at very many districts of this size that have been able to accomplish that much in that amount of time to the degree that you have. It's been a full transformation of the schools. I was looking at old pictures recently of some of the schools when we first started, and they were not the most exciting pictures. But if you go out there today and you step into one of the classrooms or you walk into the playground and see what you have today, it is an entirely different place. And a tremendous part of the result is because you've been passionate about the facilities and made those things happen. I don't know that we would have had as many projects happen with the excellence that the districts had you not been at the forefront of pushing that. And part of that was getting onto lots and lots of Zoom meetings over the course of the 6 years. I don't know that I probably ever had quite as many meetings with one individual person as you, which has been a pleasure, truly. But I think we've probably met twice, maybe 3 times a week for the last 6 years. So however many meetings that is, how many text messages after hours, sending pictures of playgrounds back and forth and talking about the possibilities and saving trees. This is a little bit of an inside joke, but only because you made me. So one of the things that we've had many conversations about are trees that tend to be in the way of things that we wanted to build.
That's because of me.
And Will has consistently saved those trees from reckless architects like me. But Will has also become a bit of an architect as a hobbyist. I can't tell you how many times he's fired up PowerPoint of all things and begun drawing up projects. And we've built some of those things now. So he just needed somebody to kind of turn them from PowerPoints into construction drawings. But a lot of people don't know, everyone knows that he got his doctorate recently, but not a lot of people know that he's now an honorary architect. He'll be taking that over to Newark, and he just did his first facilities master plan, which is an important milestone. It's been amazing working with you. It's been my great pleasure. I hope to have opportunities in the future. But I wanted to say, I was thinking about the last 6 years and your role at Ravenswood. And I think it's probably, from my perspective, best summed up as you were the right person at the right time in the right role for Ravenswood. And I think the Ravenswood community and the Ravenswood school district will have your legacy for many years to come. So thank you for everything that you've done.
So we have Michael Shaw, and then we have Will Eager, but I think maybe we should wait for you to speak after. Okay.
So again, in almost 30 years, I think every school I've worked in, I could say, oh, my parents were accountants, and I might be outside of the business department at that school, the one who understands the budget the most, which is a very bad place to be in. So I'm just so impressed. Will's biggest accomplishment, one of his biggest accomplishments, is that people at Ravenswood understand what's in the budget. They understand where the money comes from. We've said transparent a lot, but I think it's understandable. I think it's such a huge thing, and it's open in the conversations that we have about it. It's not, well, here's your couple of bucks, good luck with school this year. It's a real conversation, and I've learned so much since then about even accounting and budgeting. I really appreciate it. It's a unique thing, I think, in schools, how well around here, how well we're doing in that department. Personally, Will has a lot more experience with kids than I do, and I also did get quite a bit of advice and help when I was a new parent too from Will. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Oh, and Solomon added a quote. Will was the first person to tell me after the pandemic, "No, Mike, you're old now." Lots of eye-opening things I've learned from you. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. How's it going, everyone? First and foremost, just because I was late and I want to apologize for that, I do want to take a moment to honor Michelle. I was watching online, and I just want to say quickly, as a father, I think one of the hardest challenges that I've ever had was letting go of my daughter. And I've said that's here before too, and I had many conversations with the superintendent because letting go of my daughter and trusting her with anyone was like not something I ever wanted to do or could do. But I was able to entrust my baby, Samantha, with Belhaven and with Michelle. And so I'm just so thankful for you because I had that peace of mind every single day. And so we honor you, and I'm sorry that I was late. But again, we just want to honor you. Thank you for everything you've done for our district. Regarding Dr. Eager, I want to be honest and say that I have not opened his bittersweet news email. It's in my inbox, and I have refused to open it. And yeah, it's just there. There's one email that's it's not open. It's his because I'm refusing to. But I want to say, Will, from the first day that I met you, I was thankful for every day that we had you because I knew that our days were numbered. Being very honest, numbered because you shine so bright that I knew that you're eventually going to leave us and shine elsewhere. And I told one of my colleagues here that there are some people that have callings on their lives that are so great that we only get them for moments, and we just have to be thankful for those moments. And so thank you for those moments that you had with us. It means a lot, and our community and our district and our students, our families, they're in a better place because of your work. And you deserve every good thing that's coming your way. Your family deserves it as well, and we wish you nothing but the best.
So I actually heard about Will before I was even on this board. And it's because Carolyn speaks so highly about the people that are amazing. And so when I was on the Ravenswood Education Foundation board, she's like, this new guy, Will, he's just so amazing. And she just spoke so much, so highly of you. So I was like, who's this guy, Will? And when I came onto this board, because of course I couldn't stay on the sidelines, I saw it. I saw it right away. You have such a welcoming presence that even though I think I walked in when we were still negotiating like the ground lease on flood, and I think that was my first board meeting, and I was like, what the heck did I like walk into? But Will has such a way of explaining and to Michael's point and making it understandable that someone who has never done contracts before, I was way out of my depth. I'm a teacher, but I had no idea how the back end worked. And Will has such a way of including us and making it known. I will miss your presentations, even when they're 10 seconds or if they're 10 minutes. You have such a way of just communicating and your passion is there. I feel like I'm going to sound redundant and sorry that I'm scatterbrained. The other thing I have really appreciated, and it was spoken on before, is as a details person, I hate like big dreams because then there's never any details behind them. But you keep dreaming big and then you make it happen. And that's a quality that not many people ever have. And so thank you for dreaming big for our students, for our community, and then making it happen. And even now when I'm worried about this thing, I'm like, oh, you're like, don't worry, it's gonna happen. And so thank you for that positivity. Thank you for the vision. Thank you for the dreams for our community. And then thank you for the way that you navigate all the relationships. My sister, who works for the city, when construction was going on, she's like, who can I call on about this noise? And I'm like, have you met Will? And I felt so bad for Will because I was like, my sister's totally gonna call him. And she did. But the way that you navigate it, she came home the next day, she's like, Will is so awesome. And she's very hard to impress. And you made an impact and our city and our community is better for it. And so I don't think I can ever outspeak Sam. But I'm glad that we got this moment of time with you. I'm glad that our districts got this moment of time with you and your dreams and your visions and all the things that you've set into place. And as you've mentioned before, that this last time when you went on parental leave, that we didn't need you that much. And it's not that we don't need you, but I do thank you for your work in setting up a system and a team of people where we will be able to continue your vision and your dreams for our district going forward. And the good thing is that you're never that far away. So I don't think you can count out exactly. I think you'll still get some messaging here and there, but we miss you and please come back. Please visit. I'm a little jealous that all five still gets to keep them in a bit. But good luck. And I'm really happy for you. And this is super bittersweet, but thank you for your vision and our community and our students are so much better for you. Thank you.
Well. So one of the things that Will would always start with, which I'm sure many of you have heard, I might be crazy, but I have this really crazy idea. And what do you think about this? I know it sounds crazy. And that's something like that Laura and Sam had said, like, that's the vision, right? You have a vision, you have the details, and you made it happen. And for someone who joined the board very green about how school districts work, you made those things available to us and helped us understand very complex issues, and not just complex issues when it comes to budgets, but also complex issues when it comes to being someone who's elected by a community and how to talk about that vision in a way that the community can understand, but also people who are stakeholders and investors can understand. And we really appreciate you for that. And I know that, I was on some sort of tax measure or a bond measure committee for 3 out of the last 4. I know that the work that we do in our community is so important because it doesn't just impact the school district, it impacts all of the community that's around us. And so your ability to think about these things, to plan for these things, to really share that vision and raise up leaders and share those details to us so that we can go out there and we can look like experts. That's something that I really truly appreciate. And when I think about, we talked about how young you are and how much you actually, you go beyond expectations. I think people read something that you said in the newspaper about all the great things that you did and have done, or something that where you're taking a stand for Ravenswood and they think, who is this guy? And then they meet you and they're like, wait a second, is this the guy that said that thing? And it is. And so you carry yourself in a way that makes Ravenswood proud. Even outside of our Ravenswood, my boss where I work met you and he talked to you and he's like, let me tell you, Jenny, Will is great. He is amazing. He has these ideas and you just threw out something like, oh, I think this is how you can plan this one thing that kind of relates to the school, but not really, but this is really good for you and the organization that you're doing. And you did that within a 30-minute meeting. And that's impressive. And I think it's because you have that understanding of a vision, and a vision wherever you go, whoever you talk to, how to make their plans, their goals better, bigger, and just have those details to make sure that it creates impact. So thank you for the work that you've done. We know that you're going to be doing a lot more work. I'm sure you're going to have some really great teams and people that remind you of some really great people up here, hopefully, and on your team, and just building that. And I just want to say thank you for pushing us to make really hard choices and decisions, and also giving us the things that we need to stand behind them and on top of them. And I think about the ways that we wanted to make Ravenswood a place that we can stand up on our own 2 feet. And you've really delivered that. And so you got our sinking ship out of the water, you've straightened it, and now we have a place to go. So thank you for doing that for us. And Newark is real lucky. And, you're just you have to go through Ravenswood, right, to get there. So stop by anytime and we will be texting and asking hard questions, because now you are our advisor, right? Is that what we call you? You're our advisor. So thank you.
To the chair. Dr. Eager, not you, Will. I'll start with your wife. I just want to. I just want to first say thank you, because I know that when you're the partner of someone who does a lot of hard work, sometimes that also kind of overpasses into your personal life. And so I just want to say thank you for being a great support indirectly to our district, and being a great partner to our staff member that I guess I'll talk about you now, Will. But thank you. Will. I'm gonna have to go against Rhonda's comments. I'm pretty sure I gave him the most flack at first. Will, when I first met you, I was fresh into an appointment, and I was fresh into being the chair of the board. And so as two young people trying to do, I'm not the youngest anymore. Sammy's younger than me by like 3 weeks. So, but I just want to say thank you, Will. It wasn't easy. I remember the first time I met you, I said that I wanted to know everything about the budget. And we sat there for a very long time going through loads of data points, and I still didn't get it until like 3 months later. But Will, you have taken the direction of the board and created visions of Ravenswood that we're currently living in. We've had a lot of hard conversations, not only as a board, but also in the district staff. And you never wavered, you never took anything to heart, and you turned around and continued to do your best, even when I know it was hard facing our community. I gave you so much flack about saving trees because I believe that shade is an essential to our young people. And I'm so glad that we still have a lot of those trees. They have a lot of history, and I believe that they will continue to have history in the future. Honestly, it makes me a little sad. Not, of course, because you're leaving. I'm happy for you. I want you to thrive. I want you to grow. I want you to continue to expand and serve different communities. I think I'm a little sad because our young people walk across playgrounds, across classrooms. Facilities have upgraded exponentially. Ravenswood has changed so much, and a lot of our young people don't know that the person that has spearheaded a lot of this work is you, that has taken ideas and things that were on paper and made them into real tangible things. And so I just want you to know, as a board member and as a person, I'm so grateful for what you've done for our community, for East Palo Alto and for Bellhaven. I believe that your name should be remembered for a very long time within our district. I have so many compliments that I want to offer you. It's just really hard because I'm so used to joking with you. But I wish you the best. You, your wife, your family, wherever you go next. I know where you're going. I don't know why I said wherever, but across the bridge. I know that you'll continue to do great work there. You're a person that takes really big problems and breaks them down into bite-sized solutions that eventually become big things. And so thank you, Will. And I know that I want to be surprised if we see you working one day in DC or somewhere bigger, but I just want to commend you and thank you so much. And I wish you all the best. Yeah, good luck. I'm not reading your email, by the way. I'm not reading.
Thank you, trustees, for those comments. I would like to echo the gratitude for your wife and children and family, Dr. Eager, because this isn't the type of work that stays here in the office at a desk. It's the type that follows you home, as trustee Latu alluded to. It's the type of work you go home and talk about and complain and cry over and think way more than you should about it. So thank you to your beautiful family who's here with us tonight for your patience and grace with us as a district and for sharing your wonderful husband. As you can hear, he is well beloved by many here in the district and will be greatly missed. So this is your family as it is his as well. I think the next thing I want to say is sometimes when I've contemplated myself as a manager at Street Code, once upon a time, someone told me a while back that you manage things and you lead people. And I think, Will, you've done that very well here. I think you've managed the heck out of everything you've touched here. If I think about the budget, you've managed contracts and MOUs and meetings and just a number of things. And again, that evidence is loud and clear. I think you can hear people talk about it. We also can see that, which is such a gift, I think, to this community and to our district, that you can actually go somewhere and find the evidence. You can see it when you come to our campuses and when you walk into our future campuses that are being constructed right now and will come to fruition when you're gone and well established as a superintendent. So that evidence is clear. So thank you for managing things extremely well. But I think what you've done even better is you've led us. You've led folks on your teams. You've led us as a community, as a district, and even this board who I think sometimes we're supposed to be in charge, but I think you were pulling us along a lot of the times, because even when, I found myself, skeptical of something you might be suggesting, somehow always I was on your side. And I'm not sure how that happens so many times, but I think you've led us in such an admirable way. I think you've given us something to believe in. You've also given us the steps to get there. I think you've been a great example for me personally, again, as I think of myself about who I want to be, the type of impact I want to have. Not just someone who is nice and people like, but someone who can actually put my foot to the floor and to the pedal and bring about great outputs. So that's been really great. And I think overall you've made this work way more joyful. My dissertation was about joy and joyful learning. And I think when I think about my time here on the board with you, and I get to spend a lot of time with you, right, through the facilities committee, alongside these other trustees and our superintendent. It's been really great. So when I think about joy, I think of joy on a spectrum, and I think it's been really fun in a moment. You have lots of jokes. I've experienced lots of happiness with you and working alongside you. But as we go down the spectrum, again, I think you've made this very meaningful and purposeful and something that has sustained me in my sort of relationship to Ravenswood, as well as other areas. So I think, thank you for that joy. And I think I'm gonna stop. I have like pages of stuff I want to say. I've been writing notes all the time, like, what am I gonna say to Will? And I can't say it all, as Melly said, which again, I think speaks volumes to your impact on all of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all you've done here at Ravenswood. You will be missed. I imagine we will be showing up at your meetings for fun. So get ready for that. So, but thank you. And with that, I will end. And I think we'll do a picture maybe, or no? What do you think? Oh, he
We
wants
have
to
one
say,
more
I keep
speaker
forgetting
card.
y'all are
We
speakers.
have one more speaker card. Will Eager.
Thank you, Mother.
I filled out a speaker card for this, so I'll get on my 2 minutes. Speaking in my union capacity, so I'd like my extra time, please. This is going to turn into one of our longest board meetings in quite some time, I think. I don't know how to, I don't even know where to start. Other than I think Teddy is the right idea. I also wrote stuff down, which I think it's probably been since my first board meeting where I actually had to think through it. I've got tissues. We got time. I have Magna on the fridge at home that reads, "If I have seen further than others, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Apparently, the origin of this quote is a letter from Isaac Newton to his famously short rival physicist. But he's not just talking about height. He's talking about how science builds upon the work of its predecessors. I have not yet had the pleasure of meeting any of my predecessors in this role. And I'm not totally sure how much I've stood on their shoulders. But I am very sure of how much I've stood on the shoulders of all the folks, the people in this room. Working somewhat chronologically in my time, just thinking about the board, without the work of Sharifa Wilson, Anna Maria, and others, I don't think we would have focused on the things that we did. And I don't think I would have been as prepared to answer some of the tough questions that you guys have thrown at me over the years. I don't think we've talked enough about how one of the trustees got their doctorate between this meeting and the last meeting, but I think I don't know if they're keeping this party going after this item, but I hope we are certainly going to take time to acknowledge that major accomplishment. But I have learned so much from you, Dr. Tam, and Jenny. Your dedication to this district, the work you've done in the facilities subcommittee, and just having spent as much time with you guys in the past few years, I'm so grateful for what it means to be a community leader. I feel like I know what that is now, and I don't think I knew what that was when I started this job. So thank you. Sam, Melee, and Laura, I haven't got to spend as much time with you as I wish I would. And I think one thing that's hard about stepping away from this board, especially with some of the mixed things I've heard about some of the newer board members, is getting to work with people who are just champions of the community like you guys are. And I'm really going to miss sort of just spending time with you and your focus on putting students first. I truly feel like this is like an Oscar speech, and I don't even know how I'm possibly going to thank everybody who's had a meaningful impact on the time I've had in this district. But just to name, I know, really, truly, like the list was like unbelievably long, but just Delma, June, Joan, Maria, Jennifer, Fidel, Roshni, Juan, Timmy, Mariana, Joy, Austin, Chris, Blaine, and of course, Margaret. For each of you, I appreciate you more than you know and more than I can articulate. I would also like to make 2 notes for the records. Delma, all of my best ideas were really yours. And Joni, you were right. Beyond my team, I mean, just our principals, our union partners, the Ravenswood Education Foundation, Ravenswood Early Learning, so many other team members. Just thank you for all that you've taught me, supported me, and perhaps most importantly, tolerated me. Jenna, this is perhaps the most important piece of writing that I've done in the past 6 years that you haven't edited or co-written for me. I can't imagine doing this job without you. And I think that so much of the good that's happened in this district has stemmed from you in ways that you are far too humble to ever take credit for, and that is so richly deserved. Jesse and Solomon, I deeply, like in my soul, believe that you guys are the right leaders for Ravenswood right now, and far better than I would be. Jesse, you're like, I've got to do the Chris and just go full open mic. It's so weird. I feel like we can't do this. It's not like a. All right, let's do it. We're doing it. I don't know. Feels really weird. Last meeting. What are you gonna do? Fire me? Jesse, your detailed doggedness has already made Ravenswood more financially accurate than it's probably ever been. It's matched only by your strategic brilliance, team-oriented nature, and equity mindset. Solomon, your deep curiosity coupled with your connections across Ravenswood make you the perfect leader as we finish this era of rebuilding. And I'm so excited to see what's next. All right. Been doing this for 6 years. I think I might be the only Ravenswood regular to not cry up here. And this might be as close as I get, even closer than last week when we did our last ever ground lease, which was very emotional. Gina. In the spirit of cheesy magnets, the thought that came to mind with you is all that I am or hope to be, I owe to you. This was also a tall person who said this. As I start up in Newark, I think I'm only beginning. I'm holding it together. I'm doing good. Thank you, Grace. As I'm starting up in Newark, I think I'm only beginning to realize how much I've learned from you. I feel like one of those ducks that is imprinted upon somebody else, and it's just following around the dog or the cow or whatever they see. I'm just Gina. This is what a superintendent is. It is Gina, and I am just playing you. And I have diligently followed you for 6 years. All the vision, other than the stuff that was Delma's, obviously, is yours, and that's what the community needed. And I could always go to you and say, "What do we need to do?" And you would tell me, and I would do it. We've had some good times, we've had some bad times, but during all of that, I've just been in awe of you. And I think, even though it's sort of taken me stepping into this new role, I feel like only now am I starting to realize how much has happened because of you, and to really understand how hard this job is and how exceptional you are, and how much you've shown me. Okay. As I've said privately and publicly, I think this whole thing's a little much. I'm not dying. I'm not leaving. I'm going across a bridge. My kids are staying here. I'm going to come back. It's all right. In so many ways, I feel like I've just done my job. I've executed the vision of the board, the superintendent, the community. And I think, just to be crystal clear, by executed, I mean I've asked Margaret or Delma to do it. And at the same time, I want to appreciate this recognition. I know I joke a lot, but I've been thinking a lot about the history of this district. Speaking of accurate record keeping, Jesse, the EPA archive says this district dates to 1849. The Menlo Park archives says it's 1892. This is the kind of thing Jesse, I'm sure, is going to be clearing up in the next few years. But either way, it's a long time, and I may be, for all we know, the 100th CBO. And I don't know how many of them have had the opportunity to be as supported by the community, as supported by this superintendent or a superintendent like her, by supported by these bonds, this board, this team, the foundation, and so much more. I'm truly sad to be leaving, but I'm so confident that I'm leaving it in good hands. And I'm a little proud to be leaving, I think, a little bit better than when I found it. So thank you.
Through the chair, before we continue, we have one more recognition, through the chair. You know I'm sneaky, but, this next section, we would just like to acknowledge that our board president, Tamara Shabomahin, recently received her PhD from Stanford University.
She was hiding confetti over here, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get Will. We're gonna get Will. We're gonna get him."
The funnier thing is that I just found the confetti like 2 minutes ago, and this idea is off of a whim. But Madam Chair, I just want to say congratulations. You started your doctrine program whilst you were on this board, and it has been, you campaigned, and you've continued to show up. And this is a great milestone, not only for you, but for our community as a whole. It's such a great milestone, and I'm so proud to sit next to you. I'm so proud to have the ability to call you a friend. And I just want to wish you continued joy and success, whatever these next couple of months look like, wink, wink. But congratulations again to you, also to Tunde and your family, just because. But we're so proud of you, and if our fellow board members or anyone would like to say anything, now is your time.
I'll say
7:20.
something, and I'll try to be short. So I got to see Tam's dissertation defense, part of it, because I was late, because parking in Stanford is hard. But one of the things that Tam is, that I observed, is that she is who she is everywhere. So I walked in late and she was like, "Hey, Jenny, thanks for joining us. Come, sit down, enjoy."
For the record, she told us not to come the day before.
I told everyone don't come.
Hey,
Jenny
don't
just
come.
didn't listen.
I don't
I'm gonna
listen.
stop listening.
Yes, I don't listen. So one of the things that I got to see is her passion that she shares for the questions she asks up here from this dais is the questions that she's asking herself every day. So when she talks about joyful learning, when she talks about belonging, when she talks about, the things that she's asking and setting the bar higher and higher and higher, she's setting that bar higher and higher for herself, but also for the things that she really cares about. And that's something that I got to experience. And I was telling one of your daughters, I won't say who, I was like, your mom is a great example of how to speak truth with joy and care and love. And I know that I don't always do that. I come off with frustration and whatever. And I was like, and she's not scary. And then her daughter was like, "No, she is scary. You just maybe haven't seen it yet." But I said, but she brings that joy wherever she goes. And even when she's asking really hard questions, even when she doesn't agree with you, or we're not on the same page, I know she's doing it from a place of wanting to make this community better. And she brought that to Stanford, and she held space in a place that doesn't always hold space for our community, for people who look like Tam, people who are not always centered. And she went into the room and she made sure that she was paving a way for more people to want to enter that room. Because she worked hard and she worked through places and spaces that didn't always encourage or celebrate or lift up. And you chose to do that, not just for yourself, but for every single person that you worked with. And that is also a testament of not only your family, the way that we see your family in this community, the way that we see your kids and every single thing that they do, but also in the students that you were their TA, and they were there because they really are inspired by you. And I just am inspired by that, and I want to honor that, and I want to just say that you are, when we get to behold someone who has something that's so special, that's what I got to do when I heard your story and what you're starting. And I did hear her say something about maybe policy, so I was just like, there's a place to do policy and education, right? It's right here, so we don't know. Just putting it out there. But I definitely, like you always tell everybody, whenever you're off this board, we hope that you're working here and figuring out a way to make sure that we're making our spaces better and better. So whatever you decide for your future, Dr. Shabomahin, Dr. Tamara Shabomahin, we are going to support you, and we're just so thankful that you made sure that every assignment that you were assigned, that you asked us questions here too. So thank you so much.
I don't think that many people know that I met Tam and Tunde when I was a sophomore in high school. And they were my speech and debate or like public speaking teachers at a UC Berkeley program. And I think ever since then, like that was the beginning of this long friendship. And she's one of the people that didn't let me sit aside and just be a community member. She said, no, Laura, like you have a voice and you should do something about it. And I feel like this PhD kind of just makes it public to the world, like an official in a way. But you've always had a PhD in love and care and joy and being able to pull people as you climb. And so thank you. Because even during college, when I did go to college, one of my classes, it was the best class I ever had. I got to work at MAP with Tam. And we were working at Chavez at the time, doing after school programming there. And then we were at Castaño for a few years. And so I just thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your continuing of dreaming and showing that, hey, these first ed kids can do it, and we can do it, and you can dream and still be a mom, and you can dream and still have goals, and you can be a parent, and it's an inspiration to everybody else around you. And so thank you for continuing to send that message of us being able to do what we want to do, and we can still take care of business and have joy and passion with it. So thank you.
We just again want to honor you because earning a doctorate while serving our community is not a little thing. And you showed up still to every board meeting, to the promise walks, to the community events, all the hard conversations, the great questions. And none of that was ever small because it takes discipline, sacrifice, and you sacrifice so much for us. I know after our school board meetings, even one of the early ones or the late ones, you would still say, I got to work on something. I got to study. I got to prepare. And so, throughout this whole time, you never complained. I suppose you're like, we're just going. And so thank you for not refusing to quit. For keep going, and you brought that same mentality and that dedication and discipline. You brought that here. You continue to bring it here, and so we just want to honor you.
Thank you. Thank you for sitting through that. And thank you again to Michelle and Will. This is really your day. So thank y'all. And thank you for the beautiful words and the flowers. And we're going to keep going. We're good? All right, cool. We're moving on. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to item number. No, just Tam. Of like this whole crowd with everybody? Yeah. Whatever you want to do. Who's gonna do the selfie? Yeah, what a question. I don't know. Photo. All right, just saying it for the agenda. First of all, noting that trustee Tavera made it to the meeting 6:30 PM. Thank you. And then also after this photo, we'll do a 5-minute break, recess. Cool, and then we'll resume. Thank you. Okay, we're resuming at 7:48 PM from our wonderful celebrations and recognitions. All right, we're on item 4A, vital signs presentation.
We will have members from our team presenting our vital signs. We do this after each benchmark, and this is our end of year presentation.
In the community. I'm Dr. Curry. I am the Chief Academic Officer for our lovely school district. So our vital signs, we come to you 3 times a year to check on how we're doing in terms of our educational health. And this really allows us to be able to do 3 things. First, progress monitor our progress towards our Ravenswood Promise goals. It allows us to do some root cause analysis, and it also allows us to use this data to be able to plan and to be able to lean into continuous improvement. As a district, we continue to be focused, as outlined in our Ravenswood Promise, our 3 big rocks, which is language and literacy, focused on the science of reading across all of our grade levels, attendance, working to really increase the amount of time our students are at school and their relationships, and then also talent, our commitment to find, recruit, and grow through actionable feedback and retain the best educators. We have established measurable goals for each of these priority areas, and our end of year data allows us to be able to assess our progress towards those goals. And our sites in both our home office have action plans to be able to drive forward the progress of each of these priorities. The Ravenswood Promise is really rooted in our learner profile, and that really undergirds all the work that we talk about here today in terms of our vital signs. As I said before, our priorities are really language and literacy, attendance, and talent, and that these priorities were identified years ago and really drive the work that we're doing inside of our district right now. This year, we had several different goals that we mapped out in alignment with our community action plan. And as a reminder, our community action plan outlines a clear roadmap for our goals, and is our commitment to the community in terms of what we're trying to achieve. So in language and literacy, we really wanted to improve our district from standard by 15 points. We wanted to increase our TK2 of students who are at or above to 65%. We looked to see that we had an increase by 50% of our multilingual learners improving on their LPAC score. In terms of attendance, our ADA, our goal was 95%. Chronic absenteeism was for us to be under 30%. And then we wanted our students to feel a sense of belonging and safety. And then lastly, our talent focused on all educators receiving observations and actionable feedback, and then work around our calibration around our CSTP 4 and evaluation process. And so I'm going to present in terms of our language and literacy outcomes, and then I'll pass it off. So this slide gives us a high-level overview of where our language and literacy fell. The headline here is that we're making progress. Our early literacy data shows meaningful growth and reflects the infrastructure that we've built over the last 2 years. Clearer assessments, stronger instructional systems, and more consistent attention to focus on our foundational literacy. At the same time, I want to be clear that progress is not the same as proficiency for all students. And while we're encouraged by the growth that we're seeing, especially in DIBELS and Lectora, we do have some significant work that is still ahead of us to realize the Ravenswood Promise. You will see that our DIBELS and Lectora proficiency increased to 56%. That's up from 34% at the beginning of the year and above last year's end of the year results. And we saw some bright spots, including in TK exceeding our goal and 2 of our schools meeting the 65% rigorous goal that we set. For students in grade 3 through 8, I already showed that the median student made 100% of typical growth on the spring assessment window, and that tells us that our students are growing. But we also know that we need to accelerate that growth because too many of our students remain multiple grade levels behind. So today, we're going to share the vital sign data connected to our language and literacy outcomes, and then I'll come back and share what we're going to focus on in terms of next year to continue to drive towards our Ravenswood Promise. This slide focuses on our TK2 foundational literacy data. As I said before, our goal was really that we hit 65% of our students being at or above the benchmark at the end of the year. We did not meet that goal, but we did see meaningful growth. At the beginning of the year, 34% of students were at or above, and at the end of the year, we were able to increase that to 56%, and that is above where we ended last year, which was 49%. There's also important bright spots in the data. Not only, as I said before, the 2 schools met the 65% goal, but 12 of our classrooms have proficiency rates over 60%. And that tells us that our instructional model is working in a significant number of classrooms. And the next step is figuring out how we make that consistent across all of our classrooms and our sites. And then finally, we began assessing 3rd grade students at the middle of the year in terms of DIBELS. And that was really important because historically we have stopped assessing those students at the end of 2nd grade. And with so many of our students still working on their foundational literacy skills, we essentially were losing those students' data and what their needs were going into 3rd grade. And we were able to get more insights on that. This slide shows our TK2 data results by school. And we share this data not because we're trying to create shame or competition, but we really want to learn from what is working and where we need to improve. And I think it's just important that we always sit in that like every child in this school district belongs to every single one of us who's in this room. 2 of our schools, Belhaven reached our goal, which was 65%, and also Los Robles made that goal. And this is really huge. We set an ambitious goal, and we really need to celebrate these sites for meeting it. I think sometimes we have a tendency to not sit in our successes and our wins, and there was a lot of really powerful work that happened across all of our sites, but a lot of work went into those sites achieving that. And so a huge congratulations to the site leaders, the staff, both at Belhaven and Los Robles. At the same time, Castaño ended the year at 35%. And there are a couple of key learnings for us coming out of that. The first was that it was about the consistency of the Tier 1 foundational literacy instruction. What we've seen is that when teachers have a clear daily plan, protected instructional minutes, and consistent coaching and support, students are making the gains that they need to make. And where that level of consistency was harder to sustain, that growth was more limited. I think as a district, and specifically in my role, I really want to own that my department did make a recommendation to Castaño at the middle of the year in terms of their Tier 1 phonics program. However, I think we really lacked as a department the accountability and monitoring systems to make sure that that site was supported with what it needed to be able to see that through with consistency week to week. And so those are some major lessons that we're taking into next year. And so for next year, we're putting in clear systems in place. We're hiring a foundational literacy coordinator, and that's really important because it allows us to have a clear person at the district level to own that Tier 1 literacy data. And then it also allows us to have someone to work with our sites to be able to give them very clear guidance and coaching around that foundational literacy. So we're really excited about being able to move that. Before we move on, though, I do want to just take a quick moment to acknowledge those teachers who did, and those individual teachers as well, who met the 65% goal. So at Belhaven, it was Ms. Rodriguez in kindergarten, Ms. Aguilar in TK, and Ms. Hurd. At Castaño, it was Ms. Miller in 1st grade. And then at Los Robles, it was Ms. Chu, Mr. Victor, Ms. Quezada, Cellular, and Ms. Jaime, Jaime. And lastly, this slide shifts from our foundational literacy in TK2 and moves to 3.8 in terms of our already results. And the main takeaway here is that we're seeing progress from the beginning of the year, but we're not yet accelerating to significant change in proficiency rates year over year. At the beginning of the year, 8% of our students were at or above grade level. And by the spring assessment window, that had increased to 15%. This is growth, but it's still far away from where we need to be. We kind of see the same pattern pattern year over year. One of the bright spots though was that we did see the percentage of students who were in our forest low band drop from 60% to 49%. So we see students, our most striving students, really moving up, and that is something that we really want to celebrate. And then in terms of growth, we said before, 100% of the typical growth was made, but really want to shout out the work that happened at our middle school this year through a challenging year at Ravenswood Middle School. We set a goal of 120% typical growth as what we wanted. In sixth grade, 116% met that typical growth, or sixth grade reached 116% of typical growth. Seventh grade reached 118% of typical growth, and eighth grade reached 119.5% of growth. And so these three grade levels were really close to that accelerated growth. And so really excited about that. So the story here is that we're building momentum and we have the evidence that students can make strong growth. The challenge is moving from typical growth to accelerated growth given where our kiddos are. With that, I'll turn it over to Kennedy to walk us through attendance.
Good evening, trustees. Good evening, everyone. Excited to give you all our update on attendance. So overall, our data shows that we've been making progress, or we have made progress this year. Our daily attendance has increased and our chronic absenteeism has decreased. And we're glad to see these improvements because we know attendance is a key lever for student growth because they're building relationships and they're getting their academic instruction. And for the upcoming school year, we're going to build on our progress by continuing and strengthening our attendance review process, professional learning time, and detailed plans to develop school culture around attendance. So we'll start by looking at the average daily attendance, or ADA. Our attendance rates have continued to increase since the pandemic, and they were pretty high before the pandemic, noting also that in the 2019-20 school year, it reflects the virtual attendance, but we're seeing that we're working our way back up. So this year, we reached 91.4% ADA, which is an increase from 90.7% the previous year. Our improvement wasn't as large as it was the last year, moving from 89.6 to 90.7. It's over 1 percentage point. And this year we got 0.7 percentage points increase from the previous year, but we're still moving up. And so we're excited about that. Our EOY goal for this year was 95% ADA, which represents missing 9 or fewer days during the school year. So for a student to miss less than 2 weeks of school. 43% of our students met that goal, so about 650 students meeting our attendance goal. And so for next year, we'll continue to work with our family engagement efforts, attendance incentives, and plans for culture building to help our attendance grow. Now we'll take a look at our chronic absenteeism. So here we're looking again at a year-to-year view, the historic view of chronic absenteeism. The black line delineates where students were chronically absent. So in the blue and green above the line, these are students who are meeting our 95% goal or getting close to it. And below the line, the yellow and red represent students who are chronically absent. So chronically absent students are attending only 90% of school days or less. So they're missing about 4 weeks of the school year or more. So this year, our goal was to have less than 30% of students being chronically absent, and we did meet that goal this year. So we had 29% of our students being chronically absent this year. We're still a little bit higher than our pre-pandemic levels. I'm looking at those bars to the far left, but we're seeing a steady decrease over the past few years. So last year, we were right at our goal, 34%. This year, we met our goal, 29%. So I'm excited and looking forward to continuing this trend of improving our attendance. Now I'll pass it on to Austin Batson for an update on talent.
Good evening, trustees. Thank you for having me tonight. Quick overview on talent. We're going to talk about 2 main areas tonight. One is how we are doing on hiring for the 26-27 school year. The second is on our spring staff survey. So I'm not going to talk about those too much because we'll get into those. But I do want to flag that for 26-27, we're going to be continuing our intentional professional development focus for all staff. Our teaching and learning department has worked with our unions, especially RTA, to plan out an intentional professional development schedule, to have it all planned out ahead of time and set and established from the get-go so that everyone's on the same page. Looking at our spring staff survey, there's a lot of information here, so I'm going to start by breaking it down. First point I want to flag is that we had a lower completion rate than we did in the fall. We had about a 27.6 or 28% completion rate. This survey was administered in May. So it was administered during summative assessment times, end of year testing. And so one of the things we're looking forward to next year is moving this up a little bit to kind of get it out of that crowded point of the year and to really hope to increase that completion rate. That said, we do have some really interesting data here that I want to break down. All the data that we're looking at is just data from the spring administration alone. In the appendix, there's data from the fall survey. So if you want to go back and forth to compare those are both there for you. Starting on the left with our feedback and coaching, our classified staff continued to report lower satisfaction with feedback and coaching compared to certificated staff. And then our certificated staff reported a little bit less positive. Fewer staff reported receiving positive, useful, and actionable feedback in the spring than compared to the fall. Looking at belonging, a majority of all of our staff continue to report feeling a sense of belonging. That's 66, 69, and 80%, so healthy majorities. However, this is a little bit lower than the fall survey, and for both certificated and classified staff, fewer staff expressed seeing a future for themselves in Ravenswood when compared to the fall survey. Looking at perceptions of leadership, so if someone is primarily based at a school site, this is how they think of their site leader, primarily their principal, assistant principal. If someone is based at the home office, it's how they think of how they view their supervisor at the home office. So all groups showed a decrease in positive perceptions of their leadership compared to the fall. However, majorities of all staff continue to say that their leaders set clear expectations and have a positive influence on their work and their school. Something I do want to continue to flag is that this survey was anonymous. Just for the record, it's anonymous. We don't see who is saying what. We do send it out through email to track completion rates, but we do not see who says what. Emails are not tied to actual responses. And Panorama, which is the same system that administers our student survey, does all the analysis and all the breakdowns. So that is not something that we see or can tie people to. Looking forward to 26-27, we're really looking forward to seeing what this year-over-year analysis looks like. How does the fall of 25 compare to the fall of 26? How does the spring of 26 compare to the spring of 27? Really seeing what those year-over-year trends look like to see how our efforts are making a difference for the long term. And looking at recruitment for the next year. So far, we have filled 77% of our teaching vacancies for 26-27. And teaching vacancies are our classroom teachers, our homeroom teachers, specials, special education teachers, PE teachers, music teachers, our intervention teachers, and our newcomer teachers. So just to kind of put out, that's who we're talking about. This year, we've had 35 vacancies for teaching staff. And 9 of those are newly created positions due to anticipated enrollment increases. So it's not all vacancies due to staff leaving, but some additional positions were created due to that anticipated enrollment. Couple things I really want to highlight. All of our site-based teams and home office teams have really done extraordinary work in interviewing and talking to people and setting things up. I know our site leaders here, they were in interviews earlier today, and I really appreciate that. They've been working after hours. They've been having their hiring committees all working together to do that. I really want to extend appreciation to our teams at the sites and at our home office. For the first time in several years, we've hired 4 school psychologists. So those are going to be employees that we have working for our schools, working for our students and communities. Huge shout out to our special education student services team for that. Our teaching and learning team has been doing a lot of good work to hire instructional coaches, our coordinators as well. So it really has been a whole office, a whole district effort in that. And I want to extend a lot of appreciation and thanks to everyone for all their time doing that. I know it's not easy every time you get a call or a text message or another interview or give me a time, and I really appreciate you, and it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. So thank you. Thank you. I also want to extend appreciation to REF for the different hiring initiatives that we're able to support through them. It makes a big difference when talking to candidates, when talking to people, and so just also big appreciation to REF and all that REF does. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Curry to wrap us up.
Thank you very much. One of the things that we wanted to be able to end on was really looking ahead as terms of like what are our priorities for next year and how are we responding to this data? And that really is what our teaching and learning plan is. So we started building this plan back in February, believe it or not. I had my first meeting with the site leaders and really worked over the spring to be able to take in a lot of feedback from teachers, looking at our student data and really rooting our plan in terms of best practices. Like, as I said before, we went through many different drafts of this plan and iterations to be able to get to the final priorities that we're focusing on and really thinking about what are the clear structures to kind of undergird those. And so our plan really works to be a continuation of this year, going deeper with the things that worked really well. We still have our priorities around language and literacy, attendance and belonging and talent. You will notice that math is called out here. That is not because math is being added as a part of the Ravenswood Promise, but it is a priority for us next year because we are obviously doing a curriculum adoption. So really a focus there on our new Bridges curriculum and rebuilding our tier 1 at the middle school. Really focusing on how we start really using data to drive our instruction, looking at student work in terms of talent, rebuilding our culture systems at tier 1 through 3, and our school culture systems for talent, and then our language and literacy building on our academic discourse. We want our classrooms to feel alive, we want our kids to be engaged, and we want them to be talking. So in summary, our community action plan, next year we will continue to follow our community action plan roadmap and our goals built on. We still have our 3 priority areas. We have developed a week-by-week schedule for next year that really maps out every single thing so we can see all the moving pieces together. And then we'll continue to report publicly our progress and really value the time to really share the work that's happening here in Ravenswood. And with that, we'll take any questions you have.
Thank you, Dr. Omar. Questions, comments through the chair? Can we go back to slide 5? Sorry, I usually have questions on.
They are numbers.
Feels like the first, that one. On here, I feel like there's, I don't know if it's on purpose, but it feels like there's some missing percentages in some of them. Like this is like in the key results, it says percent. Like 80 is 95% of students, like, is there a percentage missing there? I think it got covered later on. But the question I had for this slide was if 80% of teachers in tier 1 are in, like, doing what they need to do, the unit assessments, can you tell me the story of the 20% that are not?
I'm sorry,
So it says 80% of all ELA classrooms are gonna give the assessment or have given the assessment. So is there a story for the 20% that have not or are not on par to do that?
Yeah, so our key results really were kind of the indicator that we were looking at to see, are we on track to hit our end of the year goal? And so the theory of action was that if teachers are teaching the curriculum and they're giving the assessments on time, then when we get to CAS, we should see that 15% growing there. We set a goal of 80%, and that was really based off of last school year when the level of compliance to teaching the curriculum was around 40, 50%. And whenever we moved off of this goal, we really were at like 96% of teachers that were actually teaching the curriculum, and 100% of our teachers gave the assessments, gave the assessments within the windows by the end of the year. So we really worked towards that goal by the end of the year.
Okay. Okay. And then if we jump to slide 7, and if any other trustee has questions on the slides, please jump in. I'm just gonna go in order. In slide 7, we talked about 9 teachers across the district meeting our end of the year goal of 65. Is that 9 teachers out of how many, so that we can get a percentage of?
It's either 21 or 24. So I had done the math.
Okay.
I can get you the exact number, but it's either 21 or 24.
Yeah, I think it's helpful for these
Yeah.
to get an idea of total numbers and so that we can know like how on track we are.
Yeah.
That was my only question for that one. I don't know if anyone has, no?
And I will name that like while 9% of the teachers met the 65%, there were 12 teachers, so around 50% of our teachers made the 60%. And the reason why we wanted to call that distinguish out is because depending on the number of students who are in the classroom, you might have been talking about one student from the 60 or 65%.
My next question was in slide 10, which is the dimples, yeah, that one. I'm glad that we're able to call out the schools that did, but I think one thing that would be really helpful is to celebrate the growth as well. And so I'm wondering like if there's a story behind Castaño's 35, right? Like maybe they had more students in the red throughout the year, they've grown. And so for some of this, it might be like I would appreciate a beginning of the year and end of the year so that we can celebrate the growth that's happening, even though it's not the 65, which yay to the other schools that did, but it might tell a better story of the growth that's still happening. And especially in these public meetings where community is just looking at, y'all didn't do it. Like, no, they grew. And so it would be helpful to have like beginning and end for each site and maybe even breaking down by grade level so that we can see if there's any trends to what's happening. So if possible, I'd like that data. I don't know that we present on it again, but I would love to see the data of the growth that's happening.
Do you have anything like in a hidden slide or anything that
I
shows
didn't see
perhaps
it.
beginning
Yeah,
of the
not
year?
on this
No,
one.
nothing? Okay.
Not here, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing else, yeah. I'm just gonna keep going with you. Okay, if y'all have questions, I know.
Yeah, because some of those questions are the same. Like I had a similar question about this. I was wondering about the beginning of the year, middle of the year, or compared to last year, where Castaño was. So if you're asking them, keep on asking.
From there. And I think even for like the iReady stuff for reading and anything else, it'd be nice to see, like, I appreciate the big level, but even if it's hidden so that we can dig in, I'd like to see like grade level, like how many, because maybe like you shouted out like fourth grade getting 116%. So can we see like, because then the green might be way bigger for fourth grade. So I kind of want to see it broken down by school and maybe by grade. So that way we can like see if there's any trends and maybe certain groups that are struggling a bit more with X, Y, and Z, and how can we then scaffold that and target those students as a district? Because it's this big level kind of just meshes it all together, and the needs of a third grader is way different than the needs of an eighth grader. And so it'd be nice to just see more data. I'd appreciate more data.
And through the chair, just to add on trustee Nunez's comment, like, I feel like a couple of years ago, we had an influx where it was like 100 slides. And now this is very bare bones. Like this would have been okay as like a setup for the vital signs. But for the vital signs, I was expecting more data.
Interesting.
being presented. So I know that we were trying to find a median from like 4 years ago to this year, but I think that there's some points that we, and especially our community, would like to see. And also, like, through the chair, Madam President, I think next year, you know, over the last 6 years that I've been a board member, we've been heavily focused on making sure that our facilities are there. We've been heavily focused on some of our side projects that we've been doing, but we really need to come back to the emphasis of these data points within our educational system. I said this last year, and I'm not trying to beat the same drum, but our community is gonna come back, and the first people they're gonna talk to is this board. And they have high expectations, and we said, wait, like next year, we're gonna present the data, we're gonna present the data. And so if it seems like I'm not in the best of mood, it's because I'm expecting to meet these goals. Like, we're raising a lot of money, we're doing a lot of the outer track work, but in the classroom, we're doing it all for the classroom data. Like, our kids need to be able to be at par. Like, our goal is to reach the 65%, I believe, right?
That is
65?
correct.
In here, yes.
End of the year goal. What is the discrepancy between the end of the year to the beginning of the year? Because every year, if I remember correctly, we are at around almost a high 50, 56. But in last year's data, we were around the same. And then come the beginning of the year, the data is like, I think what I'm trying to get at without getting too nitpicky at what we have right here is that if we need to spend more time and really think about it, this is our time. Like, let's start planning. I think our teaching and learning subcommittee needs to be at the table. Like, I think this needs to be at the forefront of our board meetings going forward. Like, I can't sit for another year. I don't even have a full year, but I can't continue to sit here as a board member if this isn't at the forefront, our kids being at the benchmark of at least 65%.
Especially in the primary.
Especially at the primary.
Foundational literacy.
So if that means like over the summer, like we're teaming up, like what I'm trying to say is that we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it's like us being like this being at every board meeting, I think that's a necessity.
I want to add really quickly two things to your comments. The end of the year is replicating the middle of the year, beginning of the year presentations. And to your point, we've modified it based on the direction of the board. It sounds like we want more specificity. And so we will work closely with what I'm hearing is the school committee members to also help us with the data to potentially present. We want to be as transparent as possible with our data. Also, the reason why we did not look at the growth is because we too want to look at the proficiency. We are at a point where we believe there is no excuse not to have us be able to achieve our goals. And we have evidence that it can be done. So our goal was 65%. We made it to 56% when last year, end of year was 49%. So we are making growth. We believe we should have made 65% across the board. And Omar spoke to some of the reasons why we did not at all of 3 sites, but it is now the expectation to be proficient. Omar also mentioned that we don't want to shame. But we do have an expectation. And I think we are being very courageous, wanting to hold ourselves accountable to the goal of proficiency, knowing too, we need to make some incremental growth to get there in places where students and grade levels are predominantly a couple grade levels behind. So we may not see as high of a proficiency rate as we should see in foundational literacy, but we need to be courageous to say, there is no excuse that we cannot. I'm gonna put it out there and we're gonna hold ourselves accountable, congratulate ourselves when we do achieve it. And then instead of feeling shameful, figure out again, what is it next that we need to do to make that goal? And we want to make it as public as possible, to your point, so that the community can see all the moves that we're doing in our classrooms. I don't know what else.
I think 2 things I'll add really quickly. It's just that I definitely hear the need for there to be granular data a little bit more, because I do think it tells a specific story. I think one of the stories that it tells is that when we look over time, right, when we look at our iReady data, this puts all of our students together, but we actually see a significant increase for our 3rd graders, right? And so when we think about our Ravenswood promise, and we think about those students who have been having the science of reading and are now getting to the testing grade, we actually do genuinely see the level of proficiency for that grade level really showing that level of work paying off. And so then for the other grade levels, we do see the red shrinking for them. Those are students who are trying to catch up to, but for those students who have been consistently with us since we rolled the promise out, we do see a lot of success there. The other thing I want to name around growth is that I do want us to be careful about growth, because when we take a little bit of a deeper look at our growth here in Ravenswood, we basically see students making the same exact growth at the beginning from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and then patting ourselves on the back. So an example of that is a student ends 2nd grade at, let's say, a level 10, right? They come in to 3rd grade and they score at a level 4. So they went backwards. At the end of the year, they just get back to a level 10. and we're saying we're doing great because of the growth, but we're not actually growing that child. All we're doing is like making the same growth back and forth. And so I do think the growth is an important measure, but we do need to be careful that we're not saying that like that growth is actually kids making progress towards the grade level. And I think we have gotten tripped up with that in the past, over the past year.
Through the chair, sorry, I wasn't done. But I think what I'm going back to what I was saying is that, let me word this correctly. As a board member, I want to be in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get occasional updates. I want to be in the conversation more next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've focused primarily on a lot of our developmental projects. I'm not gonna lie, in early childhood development, those were the main areas that I focused on.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the only thing, but I'm a board member and I feel a disconnect between our teaching and learning and me as a board member.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanna bridge that gap.
Yes, ma'am.
And for our community especially, is that we have this conversation every single year. And there are changes. I'm not saying that there aren't.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is, as a board member, I feel like it'll be great next year if we can be a little bit more involved. I want to hear more about some of this stuff. And maybe we can have a board retreat going into the year to talk about maybe like the plans that we want and how we want. Because of course, how this was presented 2 years ago, last year, is different than how we want it now, right? And that's because we've grown, we've learned, and we've seen some things. But I just feel like going into the summer, it's a great time for all of us to really think and sit on some of the stuff that's being presented and really realign to, this is where the promise is. This is where, maybe it didn't match up. What else can we do? Like, what else do we need to close the gap? And I don't know if I can talk about the hiring situation, but like also making sure that our staff, which might be a lot bigger than historic years, is aligned with some of the things that we are requiring them. And so, we have a lot of work to do. That's how I feel. I'm not talking on behalf of every board member, but I just feel like for me, I want to be more included with the teacher and learning. I want to have that conversation. I feel like I would like it, I think we had it broken down by schools at one point. I would like to see that again. And for the teachers that met that mark, also like learning like what worked for them, what didn't work for them, like what was different in their environment that maybe can be translated to another classroom. And I don't know how that conversation works on the RTA front or on that front, but I would like to see how that can translate. Because if it's working in one classroom in 9 classrooms, why can't it work across the district? Then yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Can I just add to the chair? I don't think this is a question, just a comment, because I hear, Melody, what you're saying. And I think for me, as I was looking at this, this is the 3rd year that, foundational literacy doesn't meet the 65% goal that we have. And I think you see that, and at least for me, when I read that, yes, it's a little discouraging. So I kind of hear what
Can I clarify that really quick? We set that goal last year.
Yeah, no, and I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
So as I saw, yes, it looks discouraging, but again, and I was looking at this again last year, we're at 49%, and then again this year is 56%. So, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I see this. Yes, I get, and maybe we're just a little disagreement as we're looking at this page, but I don't want to lower the goal just to meet the goal. I want to keep the hold the line, because I think that's what we're doing. We're saying the standard, and that is what we're doing. And we're not going to lower it so that we can meet a goal and say, hey, we did this and we met. No, we're going to hold the line. We're going to hold people accountable. We're going to hold all ourselves accountable. We're going to be more involved. We're going to participate because there's growth. And so that's how I dissected this slide. But I do also at the same time see that, think, oh man, we didn't hit the goal we want to. But I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, through the, well, I'm gonna say through the chair, through the committee and the dais. I think, thank you for this presentation. I think what I'm taking away as I'm listening to folks is that perhaps for this next school year, superintendent, we should add in some special meetings to dig in deeper, because again, like you said, we've sort of had this spectrum of presentations where there's been some that go really deep and really long. And given that our agenda is multiple pages long many times, I think that means at more meetings, which I think everyone here is down for. So having some special sessions to go deeper, particularly when we have these three presentations per year. So to sort of do the where we ask all the major, and then do the sort of, here's the general presentation of things at the main board meeting. That would be something I suggest. I think another part of this is that some of this is patience, and this is not to counter anything you said, Trustee Latu, but I think as I think about what more can be done as things are being done, right, in terms of like, what good will more meetings do while we're waiting, right? As long as teachers are doing the things that we're having them do, and they're being observed and monitored to make sure, like I think what you were speaking to in the case of Castaño doesn't happen again, that some of this is just me waiting. And I think, because I'm not going to come in week 3 of a 10-week thing and be like, oh, change this. No, we have to wait. We need to see that this intervention is actually we're actually working. But I think what we have to make sure of, again, because you didn't speak to why some things were sort of overseen or didn't happen, or sort of, you know what I mean? But like, so as long as those are getting done, then I can exhale a bit.
And I will name that, you know, we've done some really big deep dive, but I think that at the end of the day, we can do a lot of things in the teaching and learning department, but it comes down to the dedication of the site leader. And I think when you think about Ms. White and Ms. Carriage at like Castaño, like they have ripped their data apart one side and down the other. I mean, we spent they had me there for 3 hours today going through their different data and different pieces that they want to see different next year. So I think there's a level of urgency on the part of the site leaders there. There's a level of focus on the part of the site leaders there. And I feel very confident that we're going to see a significant amount of movement because of the leadership of those women there at that building too. So excited about that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I think, again, to Trustee Latu's point, maybe when I think about the difference between perhaps this and let's say the budget, which has a tool, you can go online, you can see things that are that. I think maybe we could benefit more from hearing more explicitly about what's being done, right? In the classrooms on a day-to-day basis, and what sort of services are being offered. And then so people can know, not just the folks here, but then the community members also, along again with that understanding that we're all different. We're coming from different circumstances. Some of us are going to need a little bit more and a little bit more time. Others of us are going to move more quickly towards certain goals. But so I think just so practical suggestion again is having some deep dive sessions. Okay. Having some deep dive sessions to accompany those times when we have the regular board meetings about this data, I think will be really good. Yeah.
Okay. And through the chair, I think we've spoken about this, but yes to more special board meetings, yes to more promise walks, but yes to more targeted and maybe site-by-site school committee meetings where we can dive deeper on this and ask the questions that we want to ask. And then my other point, as we look down the agenda and start approving MOUs and people we're paying that are spending all this time with our students, like making sure that they are also on board with what we're doing in the classroom so that we can see growth from the time that they're spending there as well.
Yeah, so through the chair, a couple of things. I know that we had many promise walks, and so I know a lot of this data might have been presented, different types of data were probably presented at the promise walks to the community members or parents. I know I went to a few and I engaged with some of that data at Los Robles. And I wonder if there's something that we can do that if those are going to be big key pieces where we're presenting data to the community, that there is some of that data presented back to us as a board or is available for community members at large. And I think that that will help us as well to understand the story of how our staff and our teachers and our community and our parents are engaging with data regularly, right? I think that there was a regular engagement of data like at the school site level. But I don't think that that information was presented back to us as a board, right? And I think that as a parent, I saw it at the school site that I was at, but I didn't see it as a board member. So I think that that's one way that we can also engage our board with some of this growth or academic curriculum data, right? Attendance data, things like that. I also think, like I want to zoom back out when we were even thinking about how to talk about students and what they're learning at our school district. Like when we joined back in 2020 and we, or not you, we joined back in 2020, but you were quite quick behind us. And I know that we sat in meetings and we're like, okay, this is not the way that we're ever going to understand what is happening in the classroom if you're not a teacher, right? And you don't know all the languages and and you guys do have a thing at the back that we understand what ADA means and what all these little abbreviations mean. So thank you for that. And I know that we said like, we want to talk about that. We want to talk about growth. And what I heard you say is that we need to accelerate growth, and we are not accelerating growth. And so we kind of need to go back to the drawing board to think about what are the things that we are going to put in place to make sure we are accelerating growth. But at the same time, what I see in your teacher, sorry, I don't remember what you called it, the plan for next year for academics, teaching and learning plan, is that we also need to make sure that we're having strong tier 1 instruction on all sites. Because I think that that is something that we as our community is questioning is, are there, sure, everybody's making growth and they're keeping growth. Maybe they're not accelerating growth yet. And not everyone is proficient and everyone's coming in at a different level. Everyone is experiencing different types of experiences at their home that impact learning. And our community wants to have confidence that we are with fidelity in every classroom teaching tier 1 instruction. I think that that is, for me as a parent, the utmost importance. And as a board member, it is the utmost importance. I will say my experience has been varied here and there, but I do know that we have been pushing across all sites, across all districts, across all classrooms, that is happening, right? And I also want our teachers to understand that that is not just something that's coming from us as board members, that is something that is coming from our community. And that is something that every parent wants. It is not something that only me as a parent wants. It's something that every parent wants. And I think that we would not be doing our community, we would not be doing right for our community if we did not do that. And we as a board did not hold that expectation for every school site, every classroom, every teacher. Because I am putting my most precious gifts, I'm entrusting them to you. And I want you to keep them safe. I want you to make sure they are having fun. I want you to make sure they are loving every minute of their time there, that they're growing socially and emotionally. But I also want to make sure that they are being engaged academically to the highest extent that they could. And I don't want anyone to ever question that. And I don't question it, but I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is where we're coming from when we say these things and we're asking these questions. It is because that is what our expectation is for our own children, for our nieces, for our nephews, for our neighbors, right? For the kid that doesn't like my daughter. That's what I want for that student and that family. And I know that is what I hear from the parents that are with me in those meetings, that are with us in the buildings, right? So we as parents have the motivation, have the desire, and want that for our kids, no matter where we're coming from. And so I just want to make sure that that message is loud and clear. And then the last thing I will say is when we think about progress, and I think about where we started and where we are now, Gina mentioned a speech that one of the Obamas made. I don't know which Obama said this, but I was listening to the grand opening ceremony today, and they were talking about the slow work of progress. Progress is slow, but I still have hope that we are moving the needle. And what this data shows me is, yes, we have way more to go, but we are moving the needle, right? And that is something that we should celebrate. That is something that has taken a lot of work, taken a lot of energy, taken a lot of time, that had a lot of hard conversations, right? Those are a lot of pieces of the puzzle that we're putting together. And yes, we don't have the full picture yet, but we are slowly moving the needle. And maybe it doesn't look significant for people on the outside, but people who are on the inside, and I can also speak from my own experience, that is something that I am excited about. And that is why every single day we will keep showing up and dropping our kids off to the next principal, to the next teacher, to the next folks that are going to hold the ideals that we have, because we know that work is slow. And what I am committing to you myself is that I am in this to continue that slow work of progress. And so we're doing this, and I am happy for where we're at, but I am glad that you called out. We can talk about growth and we can be very excited about it, but we also need to call where we're at, because it means that we're not doing enough growth to meet proficiency. And we need to do more growth to meet proficiency for all of our kids and all of our neighbors and all of the students in our school district. So I want to commend you all for the work that we're doing. I feel like we're getting the right people in the right places, on the right teams, and we're going to continue that slow work of academic progress. And I'm seeing it, and I want to continue to see more. And I'm hopeful that as we hold these standards of 65%, and I think next year is 75, I don't know, I think it goes up, right?
70 is the year after next. So
Okay.
next year is in between.
Okay, so one more year of 65. So I'm hopeful that we're going to keep seeing that progress. And I want to make sure that we stay on course. And I think that that's what all these comments are, is that we need to stay on course.
Oh, actually, I didn't get to ask some questions that I wanted to ask earlier, but for slide 10, if someone, you can go slide 10. I don't know if people thought we're wrapping up or not. I wanted to ask, because I saw this and obviously it stood out to me, and I'm sure it stood out to my fellow colleagues, but what do you attribute the discrepancy in the student outcomes between one elementary and the other?
I think there are many different factors that play at that, right? I think all of our elementary schools are in very different places. I think one of the things that you take, for example, you take Los Robles. Los Robles is a school where their TK2 team is been in place a little bit longer, and so there's a level of continuity that is there in terms of their staff, and so that makes a really big difference when that retention is there and they're able to turn over and over. I think also when you look at Belhaven, I think there was a lot of intention around what was the time that they were going to spend in the classrooms and how they were working with their teachers to be able to accelerate. I think, at Castaño, I think that there were some unique challenges that played out there at the site. I think some within the site control, some without the site control, right? I think whenever you have this type of data, I think the question is like, what is the next thing, right? And it's about the quality of plan, about what is next, Castaño getting to the 65% isn't denied for us. They could get there very much next year and we can get those kids there. But I think there was some factors outside of their control and some within their control that led to those discrepancies this year.
Thank you. Another question I had, slide 18.
Wait, I have one on slide 11.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, for slide 11, which is.
This one?
Yep.
Sorry, not slide 11. Do you have one on slide 11? Sorry, on attendance, which is like, was it 13? 13 and 14, but my first one for 13 is around, and I asked superintendent at the beginning of the year, she said, don't worry about it, but I want to ask again at the end of the year. Just with the new schedules of this year, at some point, can I see data on tardies? Because I think that tardies with the new schedule, like I know I, as a parent, was struggling to get my kid in at 8:15. And sometimes I know some other parents that might be like, yo, I'm going to be late. You're just staying home. And I've been tempted, and I have a support system where I haven't had to do that often, but I know that the 8:15 was cutting on my time. And so I wonder if there's trends or if there's something that we should look at with tardies that simple attendance won't capture.
Yeah.
Or that might be even feeding into attendance. Like at some point, like if I'm not at my job by 8:30, I'm in trouble. So if she's over here lagging it, then she's staying home. And so it just some real life things. So I'm just wondering about the tardies and how it would compare to last school year with the old schedules and if that's gone up or down, or it's just a moot point and we don't have to worry about it. So that was my question there. And then with slide 14.
Before you leave
Oh,
that,
sorry.
actually,
Go ahead.
1 second. I did have a question about what was the reason or what are the reasons that parents are citing as their children being absent?
It's a combination of things depending on the age of the kids. I think one of the things that we've done a much better job this year is really holding our attendance follow-up meetings with families. So the first attendance meeting, but then also when they come to the district for the process. At the middle school level, it's mostly like, I thought they were going to school. I left them the day they said that they were going to go to school. And so a lot of it's like awareness at the middle school level. At the elementary level, I think that there's still confusion around the importance of attendance, especially in our TK in kindergarten. I don't think our families yet understand the level of rigor and academics that's happening in those classes. And then for other families, I think that there are similar, just like life things that are getting in the way. But when we drill down to our data, our TKK in our elementary school is our most concerning data, and that really is more information around, it isn't just coloring or isn't just playing, like your kids are actually learning how to read in kinder and TK and the importance there. And at the middle school level, I think we still have work to do around student engagement, and so that they feel engaged and they want to come to school, because a lot of the times their students are just opting out of coming to school, is what parents are sharing.
Interesting. Okay. So what I think I heard implicitly is that a lot of this is coming from the early grades.
In the elementary school, it is predominantly in our kinder TK. That's not to say that the data is like great in the other grades, but it is a like visible piece in TK and kinder.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, that leads me to my slide 14, 15, the chronic absenteeism. Just a wonder if in the future we can have like broken down by site and by grade level to see if we can find any trends and ways to support different sites if they're struggling a bit more on attendance than other sites, and talk to parents or just to see if we can see any trends.
To that point also, or adding on that, what am I saying? Again, I'm thinking about the reasons because again, that's how we get to solutions, so what the reasons are. And I think particularly with the lower grades, and I've got some perhaps differences in philosophy about school and required attendance. I'm wondering, I think that's known, and I'm wondering if there are options or like what are options for families or caregivers on campus with some of the young students, right? So if I'm just thinking about developmentally, if there are things like a child saying, I don't want to go, there's a reason a child's saying they don't want to go, whether it's they don't want to leave a parent or a sibling or a familiar space or something uncomfortable is happening at school or with peers. And I think as a parent, it might be very difficult to be like, no, you're going anyway, because you need to make sure you meet the required attendance. Like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? That's just really tough. So I would never, ever, fault a parent or caregiver for saying, no, they're not coming just because this is how my child is feeling today. So I'm wondering about options, things like, okay, if my child's feeling that, can I come later? Can I come for half of a day or part of a day? Or can I come alongside my child, particularly again, like I said, the kindergarten, TK, pre-K, maybe even first. And I know we're not having that conversation today, but just something I think for us to think about when we think about how do we meet families and students where they are, right? And see them in their full personhood, and some of those conditions and things that lead to absences or that might result in absences, but go ahead.
Also through the chair really quick, with attendance, didn't we used to get a breakdown of in-school suspensions? We used to get suspensions. Yeah, I would like to see that next time. I would like a breakdown of suspensions for this year and the demographics. Because that was how we produce programming for certain demographics. We can chat about it offline.
Okay. On slide 18, yeah, so 78 out of 286 to me doesn't feel very representative. And so I wanted to ask, what do you think is behind that sharp drop off? What sort of thoughts behind in future, making sure that that number is way more representative or higher? And do we think maybe it's like a self-selection issue where like maybe the most satisfied staff or the least satisfied staff are responding to that?
Thank you. I don't believe that it's certainly not as representative as our fall sample, which was also just a little bit less than half of our staff body. So this, I agree, it was not as representative as it could have been or should have been. Looking at the breakdowns by schools, there were big differences between which staff at which sites responded. And so that's something I think we want to even out a little bit more going forwards. Some of the ways that we are thinking about to increase that is to move it earlier in the spring semester, possibly after between our midwinter break and our spring break, so sometime in March. It's a little bit less busy of a time of year. Like I said, this was administered during May when our staff were administering the CASP assessments, wrapping up LPAC, doing iReady, doing end-of-year DIBELS, Lectura assessments, doing their own summative assessments. And so it was just a very crowded time of year. And so I think moving it up and continuing to work with messaging, continue to work with REF to help provide some incentives with that, continue to work with our union partners to talk about that and help get out the messaging are some of the things that we're looking forward to doing that. And to address the last question, I think was, I don't know which staff are more likely to. I mean, we don't have the other answer. So I think that's something we definitely want to look at next year when we hopefully do it earlier and have a little bit of change over time data and have a little bit of an increased completion rate as well.
Through the chair, just to add on to that question, so you can't break it down between which one of our unions?
Yeah, classified or certified.
Yes, so the certificated staff is our RTA union, Ravenswood Teachers Association. Classified staff is CSEA, School Employees Association, California School Employees Association. And then home office is a little bit of a mix of both because it contains management, certificated, and classified staff based at home. And then on the blurb on the right, classified, so CSEA, their completion rate was about half of what it was in the fall.
Can we get with this start stuff, if I'm like, can we get a breakdown of school sites?
That's something we can work on sharing in the future. It's something that we've talked about in smaller groups with the executive team, and it's something we're going to bring to our site leaders once we finish the analysis.
Drama. I'm trying to what if it's like Game of Thrones? Like which school site's going to come out on top at the end of the year? But then I understand that would cause some discomfort. It's just my intrusive thoughts speaking. I keep looking at you because you're RTA president. If Kim was still here, I'd be looking at her too, but I digress. Continue, sorry.
Thank you. No, and I think living in that discomfort is important, and having those tough conversations with the right people in the right time is really important. And I've heard everything that the board, the trustees have said about bringing more data, and that's something we can definitely do going forward to present publicly, and also to talk to sites about specific things at their site, specific feedback that was left, and any differences between some other sites. That's absolutely something we want to do.
What kind of incentive can we do? That's another question we can talk at another time.
Yeah, I think the incentive is that we're not just, asking these questions for fun. I think we're asking these questions so we can have discussions about, again, thinking about what needs to change, getting a touch point of engagement so we can see, oh, okay, this leads us to ask X, Y, Z questions. And I think that is incentive. So my incentive to everyone is if you want something to change, number one, come up here and say something about it. But number two, if there are opportunities where we're asking you to please give us feedback, then please fill it out. So I think that should be incentive. I would leave it there. I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? I think I wouldn't, yeah, I'm good with that.
And through the chair, just to add on that, even if the feedback is you're asking us for too much, I would take that. I would take that as a okay, you know what I mean? If it's too much, if staff feel like we're asking for too much, I feel like that's a perfect time to be like, y'all doing too much, and then we'll reconsider.
And for me, for right now to close out, recently I had a doctor's visit, right? And again, it's vital signs, right? And so the first thing that happened to me was I got my vitals checked, and they checked whatever your blood pressure or whatever your heart or whatever, I don't know what it's called, but they were like, this is through the roof, like something's wrong with you, like you need help, right? And then the nurse looked at me and she said, have you drank coffee today?
No, I could've told
And
you
I
that.
literally told her, I was like, I was drinking my coffee as I was walking in. And then she just laughed and she was like, okay, we're done. Like, just leave and we're going to recheck you again when you haven't drank coffee. Right. I was like, because this that we're getting is not representative of who you are. Right. And 122/71, I'm like, perfect. Right. Good. Right. But why am I saying that? Because I think I want to echo some things that my colleague Bloom has said, is that progress is slow. And I see this. And we're identifying, right, vital signs, we're identifying the things that are unwell, we're making them well. So, that's what I'm really taking from this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
My last one, if we jump to next year and looking ahead, I am very excited as a math teacher to see math on there. And then I just have a curiosity question. Well, one, I know that we're piloting some Imagine stuff in the middle school.
Sorry?
Or has it been adopted, the Imagine curriculum?
We've adopted illustrative math, yes, I am, yes.
Awesome. And then my question, and I should have probably asked our principal, but what subjects are being taught in English at Los Robles? Because I know that not everything is Spanish all the time. And I'm curious about what subjects are being taught in English and if math is potentially one of them, because the transition, math is its own language, it's not one of them. Okay, then maybe we should talk about that maybe. Yeah, I just wonder, like, math is its own language, and so then learn it in Spanish and then have to translate that into English when it's its own vocabulary and the same word means 5 different things in different contexts. And so I just wonder if the transition might be a little simpler if it's in English, but I have no idea what the background is. And so, yeah, that was just my comments.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that presentation of data. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Okay, we're gonna keep it moving. We're on to item number 5A. This is fiscal year 26-27 budgets. And we're actually 5A1, consideration to approve the 26-27 official budget documents, including resolution number 2635.
Well, this will be quick. Last meeting, we brought to you our school year 2026, 2027 budget for public hearing and review. And tonight I am here. We are formally requesting you to approve our budget. I'm not going to pull up the presentation again unless you ask me to.
Thank you. So, if there are any questions or comments from trustees? If not, are there any speakers?
I have a question for Dr. Eager. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Please ask him. Just kidding.
Wow.
I dare you to have a
answer it,
question.
Will.
I don't have a question. Just wanted to say that one more time.
Okay, so no speakers? Trustee Latu, were you gonna ask something?
No, I'm trying to make a motion for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion and then you're gonna read the resolution. Okay, so is there a motion to approve item 5A1?
Through the chair, I move to approve item 5A1.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. And I'll read the resolution. Resolution number 2635, budgetary increases at the end, increases in transfers at end of year, whereas ed code, so on and so forth states. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, so on to item 5A2.
We have also brought to you tonight for your consideration the school year 2026, 2027 budgets for our 2 charter schools, Aspire EPACS and KIP Valiant.
You're not asking for your approval. You only need to accept the budgets as presented if you are so inclined.
Thank you very much. Trustees, questions, comments? Any speakers on this item?
No speakers.
Thank you. So I will take a motion to approve the acceptance of these budgets at 582.
Through the chair, I move to approve 582.
Do you have a second?
The chair second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We are now at 5B, and technically 5B1, LCFF local indicators.
I'm going to do this one too. All right. Here we go. Each year, local educational agencies must measure and report progress on our LCFF priorities. California has 8 state priority areas. Progress is reported to the public using state indicators on the California dashboard and local indicators using locally collected data, which are called the local indicators. These must be reported at a regularly scheduled board meeting tonight in conjunction with adoption of our LCAP. So these next 2 slides here provide details on our local indicators. Our conditions of learning priorities, we have met all the requirements and are continuing to improve in the areas of teacher assignments, facilities, and the implementation of academic standards. And priorities around engagement, again, we have met all the requirements and we are working to improve in areas of family involvement and student sense of safety and belonging. Again, we're not asking you to accept these indicators, we're just presenting them to the public as required.
Thank you so much. Okay, so for 5B1, I'll take the motion to approve the acceptance of these indicators.
Through the chair, I move to accept.
No. Yeah, go ahead.
Through the chair, I move to accept the local indicators. 5B1.
B2.
B2.
No.
No?
5B1.
B1.
That's the reason why I had paused, but it's 5B1.
I think
because
it's
of
just
the
informational.
Are you just telling us the indicators and then those included in plan?
Yes.
So we should be approving 2.
I don't think I think the local indicators were just an informational item. I don't believe there's any action that needs to be taken.
And the action is on
On
B2.
5B2.
All right.
Yeah, that's why I was kind
Yeah.
of pausing,
Okay.
like, wait a minute, is this a part? Okay, cool. So thank you for the presentation of the indicators. Now for the approval or not at 5B2. So this is consideration to approve the 26-27 local control and accountability plan and federal addendum. Do I have a motion?
We presented the LCAP last meeting. Again, this is just here for official adoption.
Through the chair, I move to pass item 5B2, which is the approval of the LCAP and federal addendum 26-27.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for that. Appreciate you.
Got you.
Okay.
I'm your Robin.
Oh my gosh. We are now on 5C, consideration to approve the renaming of Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School.
Let's go. Sorry. I thought it was muted.
Yes, so there's been several weeks since April 27th when we re-engaged the community, our school sites and staff members around the renaming of the Ravenswood, Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School. There's been several presentations, several engagements, and last week we held our public hearing with the presentation, and that presentation from last week is attached. And staff has made the recommendation that we rename Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School, Ravenswood Middle School. And the recommendation is that we have the board approve the school to be renamed Ravenswood Middle School.
Thank you for that. Okay, board trustees, this has been a topic for a few weeks now, so we've got lots of community input, student input, board input, staff input. So I think we are here finally. And so, yeah, comments, questions about what's been suggested for the renaming or any other names? And
Through the chair, I just want to note for the record, there are no speaker cards on this item. So we do not have any public speakers for this item.
thank you so much.
Through
Just, go ahead.
through the chair, I just want to thank staff and all those that participated in the renaming process. Your time is valued and we're grateful for our community. Thank you.
And the church, again, yeah, it's echoing the words, but I want to lift up our students who have been like the largest population in their voice. Again, thankful for the parents and the staff too, and everyone. But I just want to emphasize that this engagement is building on our Ravenswood promise, in the I find joy in who I am and the communities I'm a part of. So I just really want to lift that up, because our students are going to be able to like feel that in this. So yeah.
And through the chair, I think that the presentation said that the name that, and I think Gina, you said it too, that the name that came to the top was Ravenswood Middle School. And I just want to say, you know, when I asked my neighbor who's almost 90 years old about what she thinks, she was just like, yeah, you should name it Ravenswood because you're going to put Ravenswood on the map. Ravenswood needs to go out there and they are going to be on the map. People know who we are and they need to know more of who we are. And so I know that as we look in this room collectively, we all have contributed to that. And I think I said it last week that our president, Dr. Chabot Maheen, shared to our middle school students that, you know, Ravenswood is who you are and it's always going to be part of who you are and it's your home. And so with that, I want to make a motion that we open the floor. She did not open the middle school. Ravenswood
She
Middle
did not
School.
open the floor for a move.
I was racing. Everybody wants to
She
move
did not
along.
open.
She wasn't entertaining it yet.
She did not open the floor.
You don't have to,
I
you don't
can
have
so
to second
move.
it.
I can so move.
I
don't listen.
second
I don't
them. I
listen.
second.
Just to be clear, we don't have to second that, just so you know. But the motion is
Oh,
on
that's
the
true.
table. The motion
Strike it
is
down.
there. The motion is there. So do I have a second?
I'll second. It's okay.
And
It's
to be
fine.
clear, what
I'll third. Can you roll call vote?
who was that second?
Me.
That was Trustee Nunez.
Since
Thank you.
Trustee
And to
Blue
be
was
clear,
sneaky.
for the record, this is consideration of approving the renaming to Ravenswood Middle School, just in case anyone's confused. Okay, got a motion on the table, so, and we got a second. So all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 5-0.
For the record, Sullivan and I worked when it was RMS the first time. Just a shout out, I was there when it was RMS before. I guess I'm still here when it's RMS again.
And for the record, my daughter will be the student of a sixth grader at RMS next year. So, you know, gotta.
It's a big t-shirt.
What's going on? Oh, you.
Yes.
Okay, all right, we're gonna keep it going. Just also want to note, Ms. Pineda, that 9:05 PM, Trustee Nunez has left the meeting. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're on to item 5D. This is 5D 1 through 35. So administrative regulations and board policies and exhibits for second read and action. So are there any questions or comments about any of these here at the
Yeah.
second read? Yes.
I have a few that can we pull. I'm just kidding.
Oh, the jokes. I love it. Thank you very much. Trustee Varghese Bloom, any speakers on any of these?
No speaker cards for this item.
Thank you. So do you have a motion to approve item 5D?
I make a motion to approve item 5D 1 through 35.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. All right, so we are on the consent agenda. items 6A1 through item 6A18.
Through the chair, I'd like to pull item 6.4.
Okay, so item 6A4, she wants to pull to discuss. I'm assuming, and, okay. That's fine, I don't need to approve anything, because we can pull if we want to pull.
Yes.
Yep, all right, sounds good. All right, so let's discuss item 6A4 first, and then we'll go back to the remaining items on the consent agenda.
So I think my question is, why is the contract so long?
Why is the contract long?
Yes.
This is
Yeah,
Boys
why
and
is it
Girls Club.
long?
I think it's just a renewal of the same contract that we used
The
last time.
same existing one?
Yeah.
I know that they presented earlier regarding their summer programming. I think my comment is this. Seeing where we're going in regards to our vital signs, I'm gonna be a little bit more critical of any MOUs coming before the board for a vote if our data points are not being met. And that includes the partnerships that we partner with. So I think for something like this, I would like to see maybe in a 2-year increment rather than a 4. But that can be a discussion point. And it's, sorry, not 4, but 3. But I'm saying, I just want to make sure that our partners are also helping us along, especially if we're paying upwards of 2 mil per year. Yes, that's my comment.
Are you asking us to bring the contract back and renegotiate it with them, or you're saying moving forward?
Well, what I could hear in Trustee Latu's comment is, well, at least how I'm interpreting and thinking about it is, I'm wondering if, given where we are in this moment, with the progress we're very intentional about making, with what's happening with sort of this increase in students who are coming per the closure of TPS, I could just see I think a lot of flexibility per needed change. Like, I think I appreciate that if we have that on the table, more so than if we don't. Same thing for like long-term building leases versus, shorter term leases. And I think the question here would be, why 26 through 29 versus 26 through 20?
I will say there's a termination clause that says either party can terminate with 30 days notice. So if there really was a strong desire on the part of teaching and learning or on the part of management or the board to terminate, that is something that the contract allows us to do. What the 3-year term does is it locks in financially, it locks in the current terms financially, which
can help us.
Which can help us out.
Did they ever get back to us the points that we requested during they did?
It was in
Alright.
our weekly.
Okay. Good to know. Must have skipped it. I'll go back and read it. Thank you.
And per that cancellation clause, would there be room for, someone to sort of come back and say, this is not sort of appropriate termination? Like, or is it doesn't matter at all?
it's a very clear statement. It just says with 30 days notice, we can terminate.
Okay. Just making sure.
So people can try, but
Always.
I'm sure it would be an awkward conversation.
Mhm.
The contract's pretty clear.
Gotcha.
Well, Dr. Eager loves awkward conversations.
Well, he won't be here.
It was, things were passed.
I'm more than happy to have awkward conversations.
He's still here.
It's okay, just keep Dr. Eager's number on there.
Okay,
Their call sheet.
Okay. Any other questions about this full item? Yeah, and I think, I just wanted to be clear that I think we always need the flexibility to meet emergent needs. And then I also know, given recent changes that they've made to who they're serving in their clubhouse and things like that, there might be things that are happening as a result of that right, in terms of the type of programming they're providing. And so I think going shorter term versus longer term in the future, even with the cancellation clause, might just be a good fit for both of us, but yeah.
And through the chair, I think that we just want to make sure that all of our partners know that in these MOUs, we expect a partnership, that we want to see us working together. And I see that littered throughout the MOU, that this is a partnership, that as Ravenswood City School District is funding the boys and girls work, or partly funding the boys and girls work that is happening at our school campuses, that we are requesting that it is partnership. So when we talk about our data, we are not comparing our students against their students, because they're all our students. And so when they talk about their data, which is our data collectively, our and our partners' data, that we are sharing that growth, and that we are not pitting our students or our partners against each other, that we are doing it in community and for community. And so I think that that idea can't necessarily be captured in an MOU. And I think that we've tried to do a really good job of capturing it. And so I just want to say, when we talk about 80% of students are saying that they enjoyed the program, 80% of students feel engaged in the summer program, that 80% is also attributed to 80% of the things that Ravenswood City, or 100% and 100%, right? Both 200%, that doesn't add up, but those contributions are 100% on each side to get that 80%. And it is not a 100% on their side and a 0% on ours, right? Like we are creating the environment, we are hosting the environment, we are funding the environment for this to happen, right? And so I think that that is something that you can't necessarily capture in an MOU, but that is something that we want to continue to see in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club. And my kids love Boys and Girls Club. You know, they love their teachers. They love the experience that they have there. And I want to continue to push to make sure that our curriculum and academic goals are being met, and met with fidelity in the programs, but also that Boys and Girls Club knows that we are also funding this work on our campus for the betterment of our community collectively. So thank you.
Absolutely, well said. And with that, I'll also add, if there are ways, given that they are such a big partner of ours, meaning they are touching the lives of many of our students, and doing a lot after school and outside of school, and a big chunk of the budget also is going to them. They're also leasing our land, and have leased it for a number of years. And so, you know, at a pretty much almost free rate, I think, pretty much. And I just think I want to see more visibly the relationship between their leadership and ours. Like, are we having conversations together, right? Their executive director, their board members, our board members. And so I just want to put that out there. So as we consider these contracts and MOUs and relationships in the future, to have more discourse and exchange between us, I think that would be very healthy for us to do. Okay, so anything else concerning this item? All right, so then I'm going to have us consider this for approval, and then we'll move to the rest of the consent agenda. So I'll take a motion to approve item 6A for the MOU with the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula.
I'll make a motion to approve item 6A for MOU with Boys and Girls Club.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Now the rest of the items on the consent agenda, all those 6A1 through 6A18 minus 6A4. I'll take a motion to approve.
Through the chair, I move to approve the rest of the consent agenda minus item 6A4.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you so much. Okay, On to item 7. These are updates. 7A, board member comments.
Through the chair, there was an amazing watch party for the USA match on our Los Robles Ronald McNair Field. It was so beautiful to see community out there and just see the field full of chairs and blankets and the big screen. And so I just want to thank the city for their partnership in making that happen. I want to thank Gabe for the work that he went into with our community partners and Maura from YCS, just for all the work that they did to bring out other partners and community and just host a really fun party. And for all of the community members who did not eat on our field. We know that is a big feat to do. They did not eat or drink on our field. And so I just want to say thank you for helping us keep that amazing resource. And I am glad that we were able to utilize this field in a way to impact community so quickly. And so thank you again, Dr. Eager, for the crazy vision and making it happen, and for all of the donors who, invested and built that. And yeah, so great experience and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just want to echo the same words, everything she said, plus adding again, just the community partnership, the community leaders, the organizations are all there providing services. Shout out to MC from Road City Together, Rafaela Vendano, awesome. Everything was just great. And again, yeah, just echoing that it was great to be community in our space and our space being used, and that it's a benefit to our community. So we just love that. The Ravenswood Soccer Association, right? Yes. Yeah. And so just everything was so amazing. Yeah.
Through the chair, I'm 2 hours and 42 minutes early, but happy Juneteenth. There's a lot of Juneteenth celebrations happening in our community and locally. So I hope everybody goes out there and celebrates. That's it for me. Have a great summer. Don't call us, don't text us. Just kidding.
Thank you so much. Just well done, everyone, on another amazing school year. Thank you for everything. And we will see you in August. All right. Unless someone wants to put in a couple of extra meetings over the summer. Okay. I'm down. Let's do it. All right. On to 7B, superintendent's report.
Yes, so just simply appreciation to the trustees for your guidance and leadership through this entire year. I'm looking forward to kicking us back off kicking the year off in August when we all come back with our first board meeting, August 13th. Mark your calendars. Trustees, August 13th is our first board meeting. And I want to thank our executive team as well as our site leaders for holding it down tonight. And we're really excited about ESY summer school program that's going on, while the teaching and learning team and HR, all of our divisions are going to be working hard over the summer in preparation for 26-27. And excited to close the books for this year. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Item 8A, anything there? Oh, that's closed session. Sorry. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. We are going to move into closed session. Are there any comments, Trustee Vargas Broom, about?
No speaker cards for closed session items.
Thank you. Okay, with that, 9:20 PM, we'll move into closed session. Thank you.
It is 9:44 PM and we're returning to open session from closed session. Okay, so we are on item 9B, report of action taken. So for item 8A, discussion was had, no action was taken. On to item 9C, consideration to approve resolution number 26-38. There were no board member absences. And item 9D, just information about our next regular board meeting, which is scheduled for August 13th, 2026 at 6 PM. Hope to see you there. And we are adjourning at 9:45 PM. Thank you.